Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, November 20th, 2025, and here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, President Trump starting to talk the talk today, talking about sedition, talking about traitors, talking about locking them up, talking about punishable by death. Oh, yes. Calling for trials and arrests from President Trump today. Well, certainly the gauntlet has been thrown down. But why? What is President Trump saying the Democrats are guilty of seditious behavior for? What is it all about? We'll have that coming up. And the backdrop here, Bongino makes an interesting post today. Tim Burchett makes an interesting post today. We'll be looking at all of that. And do the Caroline Leavitt rants, do the Caroline Leavitt roasts against the press still hit like they used to? I saw a couple of her moments today at the White House press briefing, and I'm seeing it, and I'm just like, I'm sick of owning the libs. It's so last decade, you know? Owning the libs is so last decade. So I'm like, well, I go watch it. It's good. She roasted them. It's good. It was a strong roast, but it's just not hitting like it used to, you know? It's just not hitting like it used to. But it seems like everybody in the political world is kind of getting fed up with it all. It seems like everybody's kind of at a breaking point with it all. I'm seeing some signs of this on social media. I'm hearing and seeing things from friends and other people in the political world I talk to. So we'll kind of review that. And then, it all kind of gravitates towards the same big split in the right wing. It all just kind of gravitates there. So we'll take a look at that. We'll see how it all leads right back to President Trump's desk, where he'll be meeting with Zoran Mamdani. Tomorrow, that meeting is going down. What kind of freak out are we going to see from that? What kind of freak out? Did you hear about this wild hoax from a former GOP aide in New Jersey? Did you hear about this? This is a wild one. I told you a psychotic break was happening on the right, folks. I warned you. I'm just the expert. I'm just the psychological expert on these things, so I warned you. Now it's here. Got to be careful out there. Got to be careful. That might not even be the wildest thing in the stack, though. I got wilder stuff than that today. We got some geopolitical developments. Ukraine, Russia. A peace deal has been sent to Zelensky. Trump trying to cut Europe out of it. We'll get all the different angles of that. An interesting study on high school students. I was shocked to find out this. Who do you think right now in high schools, boys or girls, who do you think wants kids more? Who do you think wants marriage more? We'll find out from a recent study. We'll also hear from Vice President J.D. Vance. We'll also hear from Elon Musk. And I told you with the whole Charlie Kirk thing that I'm just kind of stepping back into a holding position, just observing, watching things. And whenever there's a big development, I'll bring you the news. I'm going to stick to just the news on it. There was a very interesting news story today. Very interesting news story today on the Charlie Kirk assassination. So we are going to have that one for you. All of that and more coming up on today's Owen Report.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store. the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, guys, I got to tell you about my friends at CovePure.com/Owen. Take your water filtration into the future with me and CovePure.com/Owen with the best water filter on the market, the CP16. Now, they've got a holiday special coming up for you right now. They have a deeper discount than they were already offering for the holidays. You can get $250 off right now this water filtration system. And let me tell you why it's my favorite water filtration system. Now, I've been a water snob in my house. I've had filtered water in my house for years, always been a water snob at my house. And yet, when I got the CP16 water filter, I felt like I've been living in the Stone Ages. I felt like I've been living in the past. I was a little embarrassed, to be honest, that my water filtration was lagging so much. But now I'm in the future. I ask you to join me. Go to CovePure.com/Owen, $250 off the CP16 right now. Let me tell you why this is the water filter from the future. With just the click of a button, you can have ice cold water. With just the click of a button, you can have scalding hot water. So, all there, one machine. Hot water, cold water, room temperature. You can even customize the temperature. You can customize how much you want. This thing is straight out of the future and into your kitchen. CovePure.com/Owen. For the holidays, $250 off the CP16 system. And you can go look at all the filtration process and find out why. Not only does it have the best filtration process, it realkalizes the water before it goes into your glass. So you can't go wrong. CovePure.com/Owen. $250 off right now for the holidays.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, so President Trump is throwing haymakers. President Trump is throwing bombs today. And when I first saw these posts that he put up today on Truth Social, 3 separate posts accusing the Democrats of seditious behavior, my mind didn't immediately go to the actual cause, the actual reason why he did this. I was thinking that, maybe we're finally going to get some of this draining of the swamp. Maybe it's time that we're actually going to go after the Democrat crooks. And I don't know, maybe this will end up being the door, the pathway opening up for such developments. But no, I come to find out that this is all about the video that the Democrats shot yesterday. Now, it's interesting. If you recall, we played the video yesterday, and I said, I'm not really too concerned about what the Democrats are up to these days, but this is pretty heavy here. This is interesting. Well, it seems as though President Trump felt the same way. Now, I will tell you my frustrations with this, but we'll read the exact quotes. I'll show you the exact post from President Trump today. In the backdrop, you have Tim Burchett, one of the good guys in Congress, Representative Burchett. He posted this inexplicably last night, late in the night. We are compromised and have lost our way, America. Get some rest. Pray for our country. It's worth saving. Okay. Is he talking about insider trading that he's fighting? Is he talking about the Epstein list and all the drama revolving around that? Is he maybe talking about the video of the Democrats yesterday? Okay. So that's Burchett last night. Then you had Bongino last night. Public corruption will not be tolerated. Oh, what's your first response to this, by the way? Let's do a little social psychological experiment. What's your initial reaction to Dan Bongino saying public corruption will not be tolerated? Are you scoffing a little bit? A little bit of a scoff? Like, okay. It's kind of like the same thing I was saying to open the show with the Caroline Leavitt roast. I saw it, and my first response was like, I just don't really care. You know? Owning the libs is so last year. We already own the libs. We defeated them. What are we doing here? So it's like, okay, Caroline Leavitt with a good roast today. It's like, it's like, oh, all right, good roast. It's like the same thing. It's like, okay, Dan Bongino, FBI deputy director. Public corruption will not be tolerated. Like, okay, yeah. Seems as though it's being tolerated. But then it's like, all right, are you trying to communicate something to us? Trying to keep morale high? You see morale's dipping. You're letting us know that, hey, you're still with us somewhere. There's still a tether here. We're not totally separated. So it's like, first you kind of scoff and you're like, oh, yeah, okay. And then you're like, well, all right. But actually, I think Trump probably put him up to this, is my guess. That's the conclusion I landed on, that Trump told people, hey, we need to put out a strong statement in response to this Democrat video. And so that's actually what I think motivated this. But I'm just kind of asking you to go through this process. I feel like we're all it's like we're all right there. We're all kind of looking around the movie theater. We're all looking around the mall. We're all seeing the same thing, whatever it is. Some kid having a temper tantrum or something. And we're like, Like Dan Bongino, public corruption will not be tolerated. Really? Really? Okay. All right. Seems like everybody's kind of going through the same, like, all right, like. So, okay, then there's President Trump. Let's look at the 3 posts from today. Seditious behavior, punishable by death. This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up. I'd say that's pretty strongly worded. Doesn't really leave any room for imagination. Maybe an inch. He closes it out. It's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore. An example must be set. President Trump. So he literally says, Democrats, seditious behavior, punishable by death, trial, arrest them, lock them up. Pretty heavy stuff. Now, I don't even know if it's worth going back into yesterday's coverage of this. I still stand by what I said yesterday. I also understand where President Trump is coming from, but I have to say, I'm a little off-put by this whole thing. I'm a little off-put. And believe me, myself, I'm asking myself, I'm saying, this is what we want. We want the seditious traitors. Isn't this what we're frustrated with? Isn't this what we're going for? Don't we agree? So even I'm kind of looking at myself right now like, why do I feel a little off put by this whole thing? Well, I think I know why. Because it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, if you want to make the argument and say, yes, this is seditious behavior from the Democrats, and everything President Trump said today and all the insinuations that President Trump made today are totally legitimate. Fine. You'll have no issue from me on that. None at all. But what I don't understand is, why am I hearing this today in response to a video post on social media? Why am I hearing this today about a video post? I don't get it. We do remember that the Biden crime family got caught with the pay-for-play scandal, 10% for the big guy. We do remember the Hunter Biden laptop from hell. We do remember Russiagate. We do remember the open border, right? We do remember Alejandro Mayorkas. How many did he let in? 10 million? 15 million? Was it 20 million? Did Alejandro Mayorkas let 20 million people into this country? Which resulted in the deaths of how many Americans? 100? More? Why this? Why the tough guy act on this? Why the call for the death penalty on this? I don't get it. I don't disagree. I'm not standing in the way. I'm just saying, why this? Why now? I don't get it. That stupid video will have almost no impact on anything. Now, if you want to say, hey, they just gave us our in to do an investigation or charges or whatever, and you think you can get them to stick, who you sending into the courtroom, by the way? You're going to go with Lindsay Halligan? How's that one going? You going to go with Pam Bondi? She's lost at her desk. I haven't even seen her on Fox News lately. She did have a press conference yesterday. Or was that yesterday? It was sometime this week. It's the only last time I saw her. You know, with the binders. So I'm just a little confused. The whole thing seems erratic. The whole thing seems directionless. And maybe you've been around somebody like this before. Maybe you've worked with somebody like this. You have a family member, a friend like this, a boss or something, where you know they're kind of erratic, and especially when they're like hopped up in a mood, in a mode. And so there's like an approach of, okay, that's when you don't approach them with anything, or there's an approach of, hey, this is when you give them something. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Is that what's going on here with President Trump? Is Trump just like on this constant high, low, just up, down? And you know, Wiles is in there kind of managing the whole thing, gatekeeping and you know, manipulating and maneuvering. It's like, how does Trump decide? And the video was posted a couple days ago, so this is, even the response is delayed. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? Did somebody take him this video in the middle of the night? Did somebody take him this video first thing in the morning, and he just decides he's going to pop off? Did somebody catch him in a mood? What's driving this? I'm just trying to make sense of it, because to me it doesn't make sense. Maybe it will eventually. But I guess then the question is he serious? Is anything going to happen? I guess really that's the question. Is anything going to happen? Fauci was in D.C. today, by the way. Not in cuffs. To clarify, not in handcuffs. So here was the moment. It got brought up at the White House press conference. Caroline Leavitt going after I believe it was a CBS reporter.
Caroline, can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
Every single
can refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they are
illegal
but
from
they're
military
suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander in chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see.
Okay. We may have to go through this again. Because what I see is an unprepared press secretary. Now, again, hey, nice roast, whatever. It's all entertaining. Let's put her through a table next. Whatever. Stone cold stunner. Crowd goes wild. All right. Owning the libs is so last year. But it's like, okay. What I see here is an unprepared press secretary. She wasn't prepared to answer the question. So she lashed out. So she owned the lib. It's fine. It's strong. Well done. Well done. She's a pro. But she wasn't prepared to answer it. So, you know what? Listen again. The president made 3 posts about this saying that Democrats need to be charged for seditious conspiracy punishable by death. Okay? Kind of the story of the day. Kind of, you're going to get asked that question. Kind of, you'd think you'd have, the binder going with the bullet points and the prepared statements from the president, how you want to control this narrative, how you want the press to consume this. It's like it's kind of one of those issues. So the fact that she's not prepared for this, I go back to the how. I go back to the how did this happen? I think somebody had Trump in a mode. Somebody had Trump hopped up, or he was on a high or a low, whatever, however it works in there. And they thought, this is the time to do it. This is the time to show him the video. This is the time to then direct that towards something over here. It looks like a whim. It just looks like, just a whim. And the fact that I'm not prepared to answer this question, so I'm just going to own the lib. Listen to it again now with that context.
Caroline, can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
Every single
can refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they are
illegal from
but they're
military
suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander in chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see.
Okay. So I'm even more convinced that she was totally unprepared to answer that question. If she was prepared to answer the question, she would have cited the U.S. code. She would have known and expected and anticipated this question to be brought up. And she would have had the U.S. code that Trump is referring to for sedition, and she would have recited the code. And then she could have gotten into whatever she wants as far as the legal basis and chain of command or wherever she wanted to take it from there. But that would have been your prepared response. Your prepared response would have been, this is the U.S. code President Trump is referring to. This is how he believes their behavior violated said code. And the president is weighing his options, how to handle this with the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and the Department of War. Something along these natures. So, to me, she was not prepared, which tells me that this whole thing is just like, it's just throw at the wall, see what sticks. Now, I could say, I could say I kind of like that. I could say it shows this administration is fluid. It shows that, maybe some of the restraints and stuff that we're concerned about with Trump maybe aren't there, but he's just kind of kept in a cage, but he's still free. He just doesn't even know he's in the cage. So I could say, all right, hey, it is wild in there. It is chaotic in there. Maybe nobody's in control. All right. But then I also look at it and I'm like, well, if it's off the rails like this, which it has appeared to be for a while now, what are we really dealing with? What are we really dealing with? So let's see. I don't know. Will there be seditious conspiracy charges? Will Pam Bondi have a Fox News interview where she'll cite the U.S. code? Will she be investigating? Strong words from President Trump. Seems no action would be not a good look. Not a good look considering the weight of what was said. But I go back to my initial reaction. Why this? Why not the wide open borders? Why not the pay for play with the Biden crime family? Why not the stolen election? Why not Russiagate, Spygate? Why not Jack Frost? Why not Letitia James? Why not all the judges? All this corruption just sitting right here in front of us. A big, steaming pile of corruption. Like 30 elephants just came out and took a fat pile of corruption sitting there stinking. And you're talking about some video? What is going on? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Okay. So, what are we going to see next? Will there be investigations? I'm monitoring. I haven't seen Pam Bondi pop up yet. I'm waiting, Pam. The president just said Democrats are guilty of sedition. He wants trials. He wants arrests. Pam. Waiting, Pam. Pam. Earth to Pam. Are you at your desk? Pam? Where are you? Pam? Maybe she doesn't even know. The whole thing is really delayed. Pam might not find out about any of this till tomorrow, actually. Now that I think about it, she might need a day or two, because Trump needed a day or two until somebody decided they were going to show this to him today for whatever reason, and then he goes off. So maybe Pam will learn about this later today, maybe tomorrow, maybe over the weekend. Maybe we can get a Fox News interview while the Democrat riot squads and terror groups are still roaming the streets. What's going on, Pam? Are you awake? No? I know. I know what Pam Bondi needs. She needs some coffee. Somebody needs to wake Pam Bondi up and get her some coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. It's the only thing we can do. Can somebody get Pam Bondi a cup of coffee? We're begging. We're not seeing the action. We're wondering if Pam Bondi is a little low on energy. She needs a pick-me-up. Do we need to get her a whole bag, maybe? Should we send Pam Bondi a bag of Blackout Coffee? What do you guys think? Brutal awakening? Maybe that's what we need. Maybe Pam Bondi needs a brutal awakening. Pam, are you with us? We need you with us, Pam. I'm going to send you a bag here because we love you, Pam. We're going to send you a bag of Blackout Coffee's Brutal Awakening. Maybe that's what you need. Or maybe we want you to be the morning reaper. Maybe we want you to wake up and be the morning reaper and drain the swamp and arrest the deep state. Maybe that's what we want. But Pam Bondi seems like she's only trying to give us a smooth finish. Seems like it's all that's happening here. So maybe I'll just send you the bag of smooth finish, Pam. I'm going to be trying it myself, by the way. I'm going to try light roast, Pam, in case you're wondering. Maybe we can have coffee sometime. Actually, we did have coffee together in a Fox green room one time. She was really nice, actually, really sweet. I'm actually waiting for my smooth finish. I told you guys I couldn't believe this. How I didn't know this is blowing my mind, but light roasts have more caffeine than dark roast. And I've been drinking dark roast because I prefer the flavor. I assumed it had more caffeine. I don't know why. And then I find out the light roast has more caffeine. And I'm like, how can I get more energy? I really want more out of my coffee now that I've known this. So I'm waiting for the smooth finish to arrive. We'll let you know about that. But my favorite flavor-wise has been the Pitch Black Espresso. Love the Brutal Awakening. You can see all the 5-star reviews. Looks like the Brutal Awakening is their most popular. Over 4,000 5-star reviews. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Use coupon code Owen, whether you're getting the bags of coffee, the single-serve pods, the instant coffee. It's all there at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Coupon code Owen gets you 20% off your first order. So I'm getting a vibe. I'm sensing that people are kind of just the hyper intensity of the political world is starting to wear on people. I'm sensing it. I'm seeing it. And I've got some bits of evidence for you here. This one is well, I don't want to oversell it, but I was a little disappointed, more so than I normally am, when I maybe have a disagreement with Michael Savage. This one upset me a little bit. He posted this earlier today on his X account. He says, owing to the vile, sickening, un-American, anti-Jewish hate on my socials, I am regretfully turning off all comments. Candace Tucker and the little Nikki have destroyed the America First movement, from the father of Borders language culture. This one disappointed me a little bit. Not because I'm upset that I can't go and respond to Michael Savage anymore if I want. It's just like this weird, I don't know. I guess this is the cellular osmosis. This is the cellular split. This is the cellular division. So I guess, yeah, as it separates, maybe some people end up in a different cell, per se. And I get it. I totally get it. I get the insanity. I see it. We're all sick of it. But it's social media. It's the internet. And so maybe since Savage wasn't playing Halo 3 online in college and high school in the lobbies with the trash talking, and maybe because he didn't grow up in AOL Instant Messenger chat rooms, maybe they're a little more sensitive, and maybe they consume the internet crazies a little differently than younger people do that were kind of born into this world. It's just kind of par for the course as we see it. But it's upsetting because it just shows how the debate on this issue, it's failed. It's failed. We cannot have a serious debate on this issue. And it's both sides. It's both sides responsible for this. Let's be honest. Both sides are. The people that live in the replies with the anonymous accounts that just call everybody a Jew. That's not helping anything. That's hurting your cause. But whatever. Okay, so that goes on. And then, of course, there is the pro-Israel side, which is so overbearing, so arrogant, so authoritarian. The gatekeeping, the holier than thou, all of it. They've ruined the debate. They won't have the debate. They just call you a anti-Semite. So it's over. We can't even have a legitimate debate on this very important issue. Both sides have ruined any chance of having a real debate. And then I look at it and I'm thinking, I couldn't even if I wanted to now because I can't respond to his post, but it's like, if I tried to get Dr. Savage, who again, I've been listening to my whole life, he's been a big inspiration for me in talk radio. I disagree with him all the time. But it's like, even if I tried to get him to understand what's really going on with this from a generational perspective, I can't even do it now. He's done. He's waving the white flag. He doesn't want to have the conversation. And again, I get it. A lot of people are there. But it's like, now somebody who's reasonable, somebody who can even be open-minded about it, somebody who's talked about Netanyahu being a problem, it's like now, because of the extremism on this issue, even with somebody like Michael Savage, who's a very strong supporter of Israel, who's very anti-Islam, it's like he'd be open-minded to hearing it and understanding it and agreeing with some things. But now he's done. He's out. And then it becomes this, let's blame Candace and Tucker and Fuentes for everything. But this is the new generational right. And so, in a weird way, seeing this is like, again, it upset me. I've been listening to Savage decades. So many times I disagree with this man. So many times. But I respect him. I think he's smart. I appreciate his points of view, even if I disagree. Always have. Even when I disagree, I always listen. I always come back because I want his perspective. And on most things, I think we agree. But you know what? As this division is happening, as this cellular split is happening, you're going to lose some. And I think that's why this one hurt me. Not like a disagreement thing, like because he just doesn't understand where the younger generation is coming from. That's what this communicates to me. He doesn't understand where the younger generation is coming from. But so I sit here and I say, okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you know what? We're here. We're not going anywhere. We're 2 election cycles away from being the vast majority of the Republican voter base. So the ideas of Michael Savage and the policy, the political world of the Michael Savages that have been leaders in the right, leaders in the conservative movement, groundbreakers in media, their time is gone. Their time is gone. So that's why this one was a little, and you know it, and maybe you feel this way. You know, when you have somebody that you listen to every day, a talk show host that you listen to every day, there's a personal relationship there. You get that if you're tuned into this. A lot of you probably felt that way when I recently had a split. These things happen. But to me, this is like, yeah, the split is happening, and some people are going to be on the other end of it. And you just say, it's been a nice ride. Now, we could go into the comments, and you can get an idea of why Michael Savage might say, I'm turning off comments and just turning it off. But the truth of it is that you can turn off the comments and you can try to mute this reality, but it is the reality. It's mostly men under 40. And we're 2 election cycles away from boomer politics being completely gone, completely irrelevant. Not to be morbid, but that's the truth. That's the truth. And Trump, I always say, was the boomers' last stand. I think that's going to end up being more prophetic than I thought even when I said it. It does look like that's the deal, though, doesn't it? It does look like that's the deal. Now, let's get a little deeper into this split, this divide. And let me show you, how should I say this? You know, one of the things that I just do instinctually, one of the things that I just do naturally here is I just counter signal propaganda. My propaganda radar is top notch. My propaganda radar is as honed as it can be. So I receive the propaganda signals and I counter signal the propaganda. That's one of the things that is a core element of my political coverage. So that can come from any side. Any side. A lot of it is coming from the right currently. I would say the majority of it is actually coming from the right currently. So let me give an example. And folks, when you see stuff, you can't unsee it. When you see stuff, you can't unsee it. And then when you see stuff 1,000 times, 100 times, 1,000,000 times, now you're convinced of a conclusion. This is where everybody is at right now. This is what Michael Savage is not understanding right now. And I'm going to give you an example right here. You may follow this lady's work, Amy Meck. She's been around for a while. I've never met her. I know some people that are close to her. They say nothing but kind things about her. So I've heard nothing but kind things about Amy Meck. I don't know her, but just let me just put that out there in case Amy should see this and think that there's some issue there. But let me show you something, folks. Let me show you something. And like I said, once you see this, you can never unsee this. Once you see it 100 times, once you see it 1,000 times, you're convinced of a conclusion. So when you see what I'm about to show you, which is just one example in a myriad of examples, you'll understand why people are having an issue on foreign policy. You'll understand why people are obsessed with this Israel deal. You'll understand why people are constantly counter-signaling the Israel lobby propaganda. So Amy Meck, alert America, money trumps logic. So the anti-Islam wing of the right, I don't know if there's an anti-Islam wing of the left, so it's probably all on the right. But there's a strictly hardcore anti-Muslim wing on the right. So the anti-Muslim wing on the right, which of course is also very pro-Israel, these two causes are intertwined. And they're also fueled by the same tank, by the way, the same machine. So these are probably where Trump is polling the highest right now. But what's the one thing where they get mad at Trump? Because he has strong relations with the Arab world. He has strong relations with the Gulf nation states. And he's very inviting to Muslim leaders like the Saudi Crown Prince. So this is all this response to the Saudi Crown Prince being at the White House and the fantastical dinner and everything else. So the pro-Israel, anti-Islam wing, they're really angry about that. So here's an example from Amy Meck. Money trumps logic. No amount of money can whitewash the Saudi kingdom. It goes on and on, attacking Saudi Arabia, attacking Islam, all this stuff, okay? It's this long-winded thing. Nobody wants to read all that, but there you go. So the point is, it's, oh, look, Trump sold out to money. Oh, look, here come the Saudis. Here come the Muslims. They're buying off Trump. It's a money thing. It's Trump and him taking money from the Saudis. It's Saudi gold, all right? So that's Amy Meck. Stick with me. Amy Meck posting about how Trump has been bought out by Saudi gold. Okay? We're all on the same page. Now, do you know who Jonathan Pollard is? Jonathan Pollard is a former Israeli spy, or maybe still is, but he was charged with spying on behalf of Israel in the United States. He was set free and allowed to travel back to Israel. He's an Israeli spy. He was spying on the United States of America. Sent back to Israel because, you know, that whole thing. Huckabee hosted ex-spy Jonathan Pollard for meeting at U.S. Embassy, according to the New York Times. Now, the New York Times also got some quotes here that is shared in the Times of Israel story. So this is a known traitor. This is a known foreign spy that was allowed to fly back home to Israel that is now meeting with Mike Huckabee. Wait till I bring it home. CIA Israel station chief said, alarmed at meeting, White House not informed ahead of time. Pollard served 30 years in prison for handing over classified U.S. documents to Israel. Okay. So let me bring this home. Think about whatever you want. Okay, meeting happens. Okay. Amy Meck, social media. She's a writer, reporter. She says, Trump sold out to Saudi money. Trump sold out to Saudi gold. Look at the Saudis. This is bad. Trump, Saudi, money, gold. Jonathan Pollard, Israeli spy, meets with Mike Huckabee. And what does he say? What quotes does he give? He said, Trump is a madman who literally sold us down the drain for Saudi gold. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, folks? Now, how Pollard secures a meeting with Mike Huckabee, I guess Huckabee doesn't know he's a spy. Meeting could have been innocent enough. That's not the story here. The story is that a literal Israeli spy is out here saying Trump sold you out to the Saudis for money. That is literally Israeli spy propaganda. Literally. In the U.S. Embassy. An Israeli spy spouting off that propaganda to the New York Times to get to the U.S. press. So literally, it is Israeli spy propaganda, Israeli intelligence propaganda that Trump is selling you out to the Saudis for gold. Right from the horse's mouth. And then here you go, back to Amy Meck. Saudi Arabian gold bought President Trump. You are literally parroting Israel propaganda. Literally. Now, I'm not accusing you of working for Israel. I'm just telling you, you are literally repeating Israel propaganda. You might not even know it. You might have come up with this or think you came up with it on your own. I don't know. But I see you posting the exact same thing a literal Israeli intelligence asset is putting in the New York Times. It is literal Israeli propaganda. So you see, when you see something and then you see it 100 times and then you see it 1,000 times, you start to reach conclusions, folks. How can you blame people for reaching certain conclusions when they see the same thing 1,000 times? Now 1,000 times a day. And that's all of these social media accounts posting literal foreign propaganda. And then when you call it out, they attack you for it. So once you go through that process, you reach certain conclusions, folks. And how can you not? How can you not? Oh, gee, this looks like foreign propaganda. Oh, it quite literally is foreign propaganda. Hey, how dare you attack my foreign propaganda? Whoa, why are you attacking me? You go through the process, folks. You reach conclusions. And so then Michael Savage says, I don't want to hear the conclusions you've reached. I don't want to hear why you've reached them. I'm turning off comments. You've all gone crazy. You're all anti-Semites. So here we are, stuck in the middle. Here we are, stuck in the middle of this giant propaganda operation. And you have to understand why. It's not that difficult. It's not rocket science, folks. They're trying to renegotiate a multi-billion-dollar deal with Israel right now. It's all about money, baby. It's called the military-industrial complex. They sign a multi-billion-dollar deal, 20 billion, 40 billion, whatever it is. Whatever the number ends up being, 80 billion. They sign the multi-billion-dollar deal with Israel. Israel buys a bunch of weapons through a bunch of weapons contractors. Everybody in DC's defense contractors and weapon manufacturers' stock skyrockets. They get rich. The weapons manufacturers get rich. Israel gets assurance in security and financially. And you're just supposed to pay for it all. And you're supposed to sit here as an American and ignore the death and ignore the destruction on your dime. And if you say, I don't want that bloodshed on my hands, they attack you for it. And then they send their operatives to Dearborn, Michigan, where thousands, tens of thousands, whatever, the Muslims have taken over. They run it now. The Muslims run Dearborn, Michigan. So they send their operatives up there and they say, look, it's a Muslim invasion. But God forbid you try to do a little critical thinking. God forbid you try to understand the why. So you say, Muslim invasion in Dearborn, Michigan. What's up with that? Oh, because the very wars that our foreign policy supports, because the military-industrial complex that we're forced to support, because of the foreign lobby that pays for all of this to continue, all of these Muslims get displaced from the Middle East and put into Dearborn, Michigan. And you're just supposed to accept it. And you're supposed to hate who you're told to hate. And you're supposed to silence and censor who you're supposed to silence and censor. And you're supposed to listen to the voices of authority on this. And if you dare ask why, and if you dare try to do your own research, and if you dare try to reach your own conclusions, here come the attacks. Here come all the names. Here come all the slurs. And then what do you see? The very people attacking you, the very people calling you slurs, are the very people that support the foreign policy decisions that have put us in this position to begin with. So you find yourself on this Thursday, November 20th, watching American members of the independent media quite literally posting foreign propaganda from an Israeli spy. But you're not supposed to say it. You're not supposed to notice it. And if you do, the cycle repeats. So here we are on the hamster wheel. Keeps churning. So people are saying, I'm done. Michael Savage says, I'm done. I don't want to hear it anymore. People say, I'm done. I'm out. I can't stand it anymore. We're seeing it everywhere. Now, who remains logically consistent and who doesn't? Maybe that's a question for you to answer in your own mind, in your own eyes, in your own opinion. Who stays logically consistent and who doesn't? Well, get ready, because I have a feeling there's going to be a major crash out tomorrow when this meeting goes down. Communist Mayor of New York City, Zoran Kwame Mamdani, has asked for a meeting. We have agreed that this meeting will take place at the Oval Office on Friday, November 21st. Further details to follow. Let me say this about this, where we're at in the Mamdani saga right now, before the massive crash out I'm predicting for tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Guaranteed crash out tomorrow. How dare? He's a Muslim. I'm sorry. It's just so funny. Like, they sit here and they spurge Muslim, but they don't like it when it goes the other way. I'm sorry. It's just funny to me. It's funny to me. I'm sorry. I just had like a major data crash, like, in my head of like, it was like a vision in my head. It was like Jew, Muslim. It's just like, it's just so ridiculous. So it's like, yeah, savage. I'm out. They just Jew all day. But you watch, it's going to be Muslim. He's a Muslim, radical Islam, Muslim. It's like, so but it's only allowed to go one way. I'm sorry. That one made me laugh. That one, I'm sorry. I'm laughing at myself here. We're having a psychotic break. Everybody's breaking down, folks. All right, give me a break. Everybody's breaking down. All right, let's pump the brake. Let me tell you about where we're at on this Mamdani situation. Now, I don't live in New York City. Okay? And so my opinion is from somebody that does not live in New York City. If I lived in New York City, this might disturb me differently. I don't know. I might even be inclined to leave. I don't know. I don't live in New York City. Never have. So this is from an outsider's perspective. Personally, I don't know if I'd say I'm glad that Mamdani won, because I'm not somebody that believes in the philosophy of sacrificing something for a larger good. That's just not something that I like to engage in. I don't like to accept people suffering for what I think could be a better outcome. That's just not a philosophy. I understand the philosophy. I know people do it, but that's not my philosophy. So I can't say that I'm glad Mamdani won, because I could see it going really bad. But I will say this. I do see positive outcomes from this from an outsider's perspective. I think it's a good thing Trump is going to be meeting with Mamdani. I think it's a meeting that needs to happen. And I look forward to questions from the press in the Oval Office with both of them sitting in the chairs. I hope that happens. I hope it happens. I hope it happens for an hour. I want to hear it. I want to hear from both of them. I want to hear it get nasty if it has to. I want to hear it be cordial when it needs to be. Have it out. Mamdani won the election. So I'd say, okay, go ahead. See if it works. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think communism or socialism belongs in the United States. Not as policy, not as practice. If you want to do it in the free market, go ahead. But not from a legislative standpoint. But all right, you voted for it. Go ahead. Give it a try. Give it a try. New Yorkers feel like everything else has failed. Let's just go full commie. All right, I say fine. And if it fails, then guess what? The capitalists take a victory lap. The free market capitalists take a victory lap. The right wing, the Republicans take a victory lap. And the Democrat socialists are sitting there shrugging their shoulders, not knowing what to do. They failed. So this is a natural evolution now that we're going to be forced to go through. And I think it will have positive outcomes. I actually do. But people, unfortunately, will probably have to suffer. And so that's why I can't say I like that it happened. But I can see how that's happened. So I'm glad this meeting is going to happen tomorrow. And I'm glad that we now get to see it. We get to see now a Democrat socialist mayor, a Muslim mayor, if you want to go there. We get to see it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Now, that's an outsider. That's an outsider. But now this puts the pressure on the right as well. Because, of course, you know they're going to do everything they can to try to make Mamdani unpopular, and it's not going to work. So then the Republicans are either going to have to look in the mirror and say, gee, we're unpopular. Gee, the PR people that we hire. Gee, the faces of the party and the media. Gee, we kind of suck. If Mamdani can walk onto the stage and be more popular than all of us, then maybe we got a PR problem. Maybe we need to reconsider the talent we have around here. So I actually like this process. I'm not happy it happened, but I do like the process. All right. Let's do a little hypocrisy check, shall we? Would you like to do a little hypocrisy check? Our old friend Jamie Mitchell. I'm sorry to do it to you, Jamie, but the internet is forever. Now, this is posted in June of 2023. Jamie said, that article sadly reads exactly like a liberal hit piece. Pulling the anti-Semite and racist card is a standard leftist practice. I'm Jewish, and even I recognize the issues and problems elite Jews cause, which give all Jews a bad name. They're scared of you. Keep up the good work. What? Jamie! What happened? Oh, I love this. This is A+ work from Jamie Mitchell here. Now, it's from 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. Oh, these pull quotes are elite. This is an elite quote from Jamie Mitchell. Pulling the anti-Semite and racist card is a standard leftist practice. Boom! Cement it. I'm Jewish, and even I recognize the issues and problems elite Jews cause, which give all Jews a bad name. Oh, boy. I wonder if she still feels this way in the year 2025, because it would seem she's had a change of heart. But I don't know. I don't know. The internet is forever, which is why we had to ratio Laura Loomer last night. We did. We had to do it. So she posted, she's a big fan of Randy Fine. Laura, just please never sign a bomb. You probably think about it. You probably want to. In fact, Laura would probably order like a fake bomb on the internet just to like sign it for a social media publicity stunt. Laura, let me just recommend against that. So last night, she says, oh, look how great it is. Randy Fine created legislation to stop dual citizens from serving in Congress. Right. Okay. So that's what he did. He did that in October. Randy Fine introduced the Disqualifying Dual Loyalty Act. That was in October. Okay, we're giving Randy Fine credit for that. All right. But wait a second. Actually, the Dual Loyalty Disclosure Act was introduced by Thomas Massie in March of this year. So no, actually, Randy Fine did not introduce that bill. Thomas Massie introduced that bill. And the irony and the hypocrisy of all the same people that now attack Thomas Massie and all the same people that now are anti-Thomas Massie that love Randy Fine, they all love Randy Fine's bill, but they hated it when it was Thomas Massie's bill. Who wants to say it? If logic can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. Gotcha, bitch. Oh, but it gets worse. Randy Fine actually responded to this bill. Randy Fine actually had something to say about Thomas Massie's bill back in March. And Randy Fine said it was anti-Semitic. Randy Fine said he did not support Thomas Massie's bill because it was anti-Semitic. That all happened in March. And now today, Randy Fine and Laura Loomer are taking a victory lap for the very bill that they stood against when Thomas Massie introduced it in March. Can I get a chef's kiss on that? Can I just get just a little one? All right. We've gone long this hour. The crazier story is next. The craziest of all of them is next. I warned you that the right wing was having a psychotic break. I warned you that the right wing was the new radical left wing. I did. And unfortunately, there are more signs and symptoms that this is the case. Wait till you see this story coming up next.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Folks, are you preparing for the worst? Have you even started the process? If the answer to that question is no, then I've got good news for you, because our friends at My Patriot Supply have a special running right now where you can get emergency gear that will check a lot of things off of your list. So, like I said, if you haven't done anything, if you have literally no preparedness goods whatsoever, you don't have emergency food supplies, you don't have emergency water, you haven't even begun to think about what you're going to do to purify water or to even cook food in a potential emergency. If you haven't thought about any of this, then we've got something for you at mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. This will check it all off the list, at least for a short spell. Maybe not long-term, but for a short spell. It's a 4-week food supply. Right now, the Black Friday survival special at mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. It's a 4-week food supply plus $150 worth of free gifts, including everything you need to prepare your emergency meals, like a cook stove, fuel, and fire starters, plus a water purifier, a bug-out bag, and more. It's the complete survival kit your family needs to ride out natural disasters, civil unrest, or anything worse. It's also a great Christmas gift. And that's why right now the Black Friday special is ongoing. So go to mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. You can find out everything that's included, all the information right here on the landing page. You can see it with the images on the screen, the emergency food and supplies. mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. Folks, get prepared. A great deal for emergency preparedness. But if you just haven't checked a single box on that list, great way to start right here. If you have a friend or a family member that hasn't checked a single box on that emergency preparedness list, great place to start right here. mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. Great place to start. Great deal right now. Highest quality and great American patriots that run the company. Thanks to our friends at mypatriotsupply.com for keeping us prepared for any emergency.
Navigating between the sane and insane. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
By the way, what's it been? 24 hours? How long? 48 hours since it was passed to release the Epstein files in its entirety to Congress. Still nothing from Pam Bondi. She has 30 days. Bondi has 30 days to turn over the Epstein files. Nothing so far, which doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't she have the files? They're sitting on her desk. She says she's already read through them. They've been claiming to be pouring through them for the last 6 months. So why the delay? Why aren't they already released right now? Well, I actually have the answer to that for you. And it's not good. It's not good. No, I think the next level of this cover-up is going to be revealed pretty soon, if it hasn't already. They're going to start a new investigation, and then they're going to claim that they can't release the files because there is an ongoing investigation. So just get ready, folks. The drama will continue. The drama will continue. Okay. I've been warning of this. I've been seeing the signs. I've been seeing the symptoms that the left, we already saw it in the left. Now the right wing is going through a psychotic break right now. And so we've got a pretty strong example right here. Brianna Morello reporting with the images. I'm going to go to the news stories here in a second, but you can kind of see the gruesome nature quickly before we go. So this woman did a fake hate crime attack, I guess. A former GOP aide in New Jersey faking a violent attack on herself as a political stunt. You can see her pictured here. This is before the obviously faked hate crime, however you want to describe this hoax. This is what she looked like afterwards. Trump whore written on her stomach. And apparently paid a fetish artist to cut her up. Sorry for the gruesome nature of these photos. But apparently this was paid for by a fetish artist. Who is... The fact that that's even a thing is a bit disturbing, but okay, I guess I'm not too surprised. I wonder if it's a protege of Marina Abramovich. So, okay, you get the point there. Here's this GOP aide, Natalie Green, pays someone to cut her up and claims it's an attack. I guess it's a hate crime against Trump supporters, right? Let's look at some of the stories. Let's get into some of the details. Ex-GOP aide paid fetish artist to mutilate her. Claimed it was an anti-Trump attack to law enforcement. My goodness. A former New Jersey GOP aide allegedly paid a fetish artist to mutilate her body, had an accomplice scrawl Trump whore on her stomach, and then falsely claimed she was violently attacked in what federal prosecutor said was a staged political stunt, according to the court documents. Natalie Green, 26 years old, was arrested Wednesday and charged with masterminding the violent, bogus ambush at Egg Harbor Township Nature Reserve on the night of July 23rd. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of New Jersey has announced. Prosecutors said the accused fraudster claimed 3 gun-wielding men approached her and a friend on the trail around 10:36 before threatening to shoot her and striking her in the head. Well, I can tell you right now, bringing up the imaginary friend, that was your first mistake, because now you're supposed to have an eyewitness you can't produce. So you're not very bright, Miss Green. You are the Jussie Smollett of the right. Your hoax was a lot less successful, unfortunately. But that's because right-wingers don't really do hoaxes like left-wingers. We don't really all get involved in it. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. So there is a small portion of the right wing that would do hoax stuff and get behind it and still does. But that's not the majority. That's a very small percentage. Not like the left, where a lot of them will get behind it and support it. So that was a mismeasurement. Sorry I couldn't advise you, Ms. Green. Probably could have helped you, but you made up your mind. The suspect said the fictitious attackers then hogtied her with zip ties, held her down while slashing her face and body, and etched political slurs onto her stomach and back because of her job, the complaint said. How would they know it was her job? This is not a bright woman. This is a woman that's had a psychotic break, folks. I'm telling you, it's happening on the right wing. And you know what? Sorry to say this, but it's just the truth. It seems to be mostly the women. Yeah, there's some men that are having a psychotic break. We've all watched it, mostly Mark Levin. But it seems to be mostly these women that are having this psychotic break right now. Now, I'll say this, and maybe, Jussie Smollett, kind of a woman too. I give this woman credit. She put way more into her stunt than Smollett did. Smollett's big pain was going out in the negative 20-degree weather or whatever it was. This woman actually had her body mutilated for this stunt. That's going the distance. It's going the extra mile. But they both had an accomplice. Green was a Rutgers law student. She was in law school. She worked for U.S. Representative Jeff Van Drew, former Democrat, now Republican, for whatever that's worth. You can see some of the graphic images here. Oh, it says racist on her back, too? Oh, my gosh. This is just wacky. 2 days before the alleged phony assault, Green drove to Pennsylvania and paid a body modification artist. A body modification. It sounds like a liberal trans kid doctor. She found on Instagram for $500 to deliberately carve gruesome wounds in her face, neck, chest, back, and shoulders with a scalpel. My God. The Ocean City resident allegedly provided the artist with a design she wanted gouged into her flesh. Guys, I got to say, I missed the Nuzzy story. I preferred the Olivia Nuzzy story. And I think Nuzzy is a lot more sane and well-rounded than this one. Can we go back to Nuzzy, guys? I want my Newsy Nuzzy back. I can't do this Green scam. On the day of the alleged staged attack, Green's accomplice frantically called police, claiming she had been singled out by name and violently assaulted, according to the complaint. Oh, no. And the accomplice was in on this, too? What are we doing? Officers found the accused con artist in a wooded area just off the trail. Drugs were involved in this. 100% drugs were involved in it. Maybe not street drugs, maybe pharmaceutical drugs. These people, no way they were sober. You know what? Let me take a pause. I'm glad I went there. I'm actually glad I went there. This is a little fascistic of me. Well, not really. This is a little authoritarian of me. Let's use words matter. Words matter. So let's use the right words. I might have a little bit of tyrant in me. There might be a hair on my Barry Gibb, Sir Barry Gibb head of hair here. There might be a piece of lettuce on my head that has a little bit of tyrant in it. Maybe. And I was thinking this, watching some of the political coverage last night. This news story broke, watching some of the other political coverage, watching these whacked out Democrats, just the whole thing is just, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you know what? How many of these people are on drugs? Is that a fair question to ask? How many of these members of Congress are on drugs? How many of these people in the media are on drugs? And I'm not talking about street drugs. I'm actually less concerned about street drugs. Maybe we need some sort of a public disclosure policy. Everybody gets to know what drugs you're on. Now, I'm being facetious, but at the same time, I can't help but be curious. How many of these people are on psychotropic drugs? How many people in the media and how many people in Congress are on psychotropic drugs? That would concern me more than if members of Congress were smoking weed. That would concern me more than if members of Congress were snorting cocaine in the bathroom. I'm dead serious. I am 100% dead serious. Wouldn't it make sense? You see some of these psycho freaks in Congress. You see some of these psycho freaks in the media. They're probably all hopped up on pills. These people haven't been sober in years. They probably can't. They literally probably cannot even be sober. And you see this thing, this woman and this dude, I guess, whatever, chopping this gal up, throwing her into the woods. Oh, it's because I worked for the Republicans. What drugs are you on, ma'am? No way. No way you did that sober-minded. There is no way those two were sober-minded. I refuse it. I refuse to believe this is how far we've fallen. What drugs were you on, ma'am? Oh, same thing with these school shooters, huh? Would you like to know what drugs members of the media are on? Wouldn't it change maybe the perspective, maybe even an opinion on these individuals if you found out they were hopped up on psychotropic drugs? I mean, a cocktail of them. Might explain a little bit. Same with these members of Congress. Oh, you're hopped up on pharmaceutical pills, psychotropics, SSRIs? Oh, they got you on a cocktail of pills. Oh, okay. That makes a little more sense. Maybe that's what this psychotic break is all about. Trying to make sense of it, folks. All right. Well, Natalie Green is, good luck. Now, I do wonder, do you think this is going to go worse for her than for Smollett? This will likely go worse for her than it did for Smollett, but I guess we'll wait and see. I don't know. There's not too much about this lady out there other than just the details of this attack. So I don't know if she had a social media presence. I would imagine if she did, that these stories, I'm looking at some of these other stories I have on my desk, there's nothing in there. I would imagine if she had some sort of a social media presence that we'd probably be seeing and hearing it. So I don't know, maybe she didn't. Not seeing it. So there's really not much other that we know about her at this time other than the details of this. So this is the right-wing Jussie Smollett. Told you, folks. Told you a psychotic break was happening on the right. All right. Okay. Now, this might be weirder. I probably could have found a better quality clip, but whatever. We got it on the desk. We'll go with it. Alan Dershowitz was on with Chris Cuomo on News Nation. No introduction needed. Really, I don't even want to follow up with a comment. I'm just going to play you the clip.
She focused on a woman named Farmer. Now, Farmer accused lots of people. All of them were Jewish. She said, quote, I have a hard time with Jewish people. All the Jewish people I met are pedophiles who run the world economy. She talks about the Rothschilds. She is a blatant anti-Semite and a liar. She said she didn't accuse me, but she said she saw me in Jeffrey Epstein's house before I ever met Jeffrey Epstein. She clearly, provably lied about me. And so what we have, because she focused on a woman named...
All right. Hey, have there been deportations in your town? Have you noticed a difference? We first heard about this in California, and now we're starting to hear about it in Charlotte. Charlotte before ICE, you see all the traffic. Charlotte after ICE, you see the traffic ways are cleared. I'm curious because I never really followed up on this. I wonder if we could get calls. But we saw the rumors that traffic in California was way down after the big deportations. We also heard that hospital wait times were down, basically overall traffic down everywhere. And now we're hearing similar things, schools, everything, similar things in Charlotte. And I guess Lauren Chen adds to this, illegal immigrants driving is also part of why car insurance is so expensive. Yeah, illegal immigrants getting health care is also why health insurance is so expensive. And this is why deportations are so important. This is why the deportations are so important. And I get it. You know, I'm okay with some people on the right finding their, bleeding hearts. I'm all right with that. I have no problem with the Pope, as others do, but I have no problem with the Pope calling out, the deportation tactics and everything. I have no problem with it. Doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. Bleeding hearts on the right, unite, whatever. But no, the deportations are extremely important. The illegal alien issue, the illegal immigrant issue has driven up the housing cost. It's driven up the insurance costs for health care, for car insurance. It's caused added traffic everywhere, schools, roads, hospitals, you name it. No, it is an important issue. And it does need to be 20 million. And really, I think, except for maybe what's happening on the ground, the Trump administration is trying to be as fair as possible. Many on the hardcore right think that the Trump administration is being too kind because they're trying to give these people as much of an opportunity to leave themselves or to go through proper channels to get out with the chance of maybe coming back legally. So I think policy-wise, I think the Trump administration is probably, they're kind of bleeding heart on the right. They're trying to be nice about it, really. But the problem is what happens? They go out in the streets and you got these damn protesters. So if you didn't have these left-wing agitators, if you didn't have these left-wing terrorists, and ICE could do its job in peace, it probably wouldn't be so bad. Temperatures would cool and you could probably get a little more of a calm, cooperative situation. But because you got these leftist agitators and rioters out there, the temperature goes up. The pressure comes down on these agents, and it just becomes a powder keg. No, 20 million deportations is necessary in the next 4 years. And that should be your bare minimum. And you know what? I'm okay with taking the bleeding heart right approach. Hey, deport yourself. Hey, go through the proper channels. Hey, maybe we'll give you another opportunity. Hey, maybe if you can convince ourselves you're a necessary worker, we can get you a work visa, whatever. I'm all right. I'm not going to make a big fuss about that. Some people on the right want zero tolerance with it. I'm okay with that too. I don't care. 20 million deportations are necessary. We have to get rid of this illegal immigration problem. We have to get rid of this illegal alien problem. It's been building for years, and I don't think we understand how much damage it's doing to our country. And we're starting to see it now. We're starting to see the relief. Hey, half of the school is empty. The kids can learn again. The learning environment's improving. Hey, the traffic on the roads is down. Hey, I can get to the hospital. I don't have to wait for 2 hours. The deportations are necessary. Hey, my insurance is going down. My health insurance, my car insurance, the housing prices. Well, that's already happening for different reasons. All right. Let's get into the geopolitical news. Here we go. Trump has apparently shared a 28-point peace plan with Vladimir Zelensky. Zelensky receives draft plan from U.S. aimed at ending war. Zelensky has received the 28-point plan from President Trump in a statement that he had officially received a draft plan from the American side, which, according to the American side, could activate diplomacy. The statement went on to say it was agreed to work on the points of the plan in such a way as to bring the war to a dignified end. A senior White House official confirmed to CBS News today that President Trump was backing a 28-point plan drafted by envoy Steve Witkoff and an advisor to Russian President Vladimir Putin to end the war Russia started nearly 4 years ago. They had to throw that little bit in there. Do you think that's fair to say Russia started it, or do you think maybe NATO and the intelligence agencies kind of made Russia start it? The plan, according to a report by Axios, the Financial Times, and the New York Times, calls for Ukraine to abandon territory, give up some weapons, and shrink its army. And while President Volodymyr Zelensky said Wednesday that the war must end, he reiterated from Kiev's perspective, there can be no reward for waging war. Mr. Trump's endorsement of the plan was first reported by NBC. So, yeah. I think it goes like this. Russia is saying the territory we've taken in eastern Ukraine, this is ours now. This is ours now. And we have the mandate because we held elections, which you're not doing in Ukraine. We actually held elections. They voted to become part of Russia. They voted for Putin. So Russia they want to declare, we got this land, new borders. I think that's Russia's main ask. And there might be some other diplomatic policy asks in there, but I think that's the big score for them is, all right, we shaved off this land. We freed these oppressed people, because that's what it was. The people in eastern Ukraine were oppressed by the Ukraine regime, by the Kiev regime. They were the first ones to be forced to go fight and die in the war against their will. And the Russians kind of came in and saved them, you might say. So I think that's Russia's piece is, okay, new borders. This is our land. These people are Russians now. All right. I think Trump's demand is they want access to some of the rare earth minerals. They want access to some of that land too. And then maybe that's also kind of a go-between where Russia says, all right, we're okay with America being here, but we stand on, NATO cannot be on our borders. So if the U.S. wants to cut a deal for peace and they want to go into the Ukraine territory to manage the rare earth minerals, we'll accept that, but NATO cannot border Russia. So, okay, Trump trying to get our money back, all the billions we've spent over there. So what is in it for Zelensky? He gets to live. What is in it for Zelensky? He gets to run on another election. He gets to declare peace and take a fake victory lap. I don't really know what else Zelensky can even get out of this deal. So just more comments here. Amid the U.S. diplomatic efforts, which include a visit to Kiev this week by a delegation led by the U.S. Army Secretary, Russian missiles have continued to pummel Ukraine. Yeah, Russia has definitely stepped up the aggression. Zelensky agrees to negotiate on Trump's peace plan for Ukraine. Trump says he's going to leave Europe out. New Trump peace proposal for Ukraine could require land concessions and military reduction. Let's see what somebody from Europe's going to, or maybe they're going to be happy. See, that's what's going to, if you hear something from NATO or from the EU about this, how they're being cut off, then that just tells you it was always about money. If they stay silent, then that means they're going to be thanking President Trump. But Ukraine and Europe chafe at being excluded from U.S.-Russia peace plan. So, the headlines are saying that Europe is upset. I'm not convinced yet. Let's wait and see. The EU and NATO should just shut their mouth and stay out of this. Shut your mouth and stay out of this and accept that you guys are a disaster and just continue to steal our money. That is your best option right now. Shut your mouth and continue to steal our money with NATO. But if they open their mouth and they try to inject into this, it tells you there's something else going on. Maybe they want the war to continue. By the way, all the corrupt oligarchs in Kiev are fleeing. These stories continue to come across the newswire. Ukraine's Verkhovna Rada. Ukraine's Verkhovna Rada dismisses Grinchuk as energy minister and Galachenko as justice minister. Well, not only are all of these ministers and the people in the Ukraine government, these oligarchs, not only are they being relieved of duty right now with all this drama, many of them are just disappearing. They're just gone. Nobody knows where they are. One big criminal enterprise. The corruption scandal engulfing Ukraine won't die down anytime soon. The corruption scandal, unprecedented in scale, is rocking President Zelensky's inner circle. Dictator Zelensky. He's not the president. He hasn't been elected in, 8 years now? Just days after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's office moved to curtail their powers of anti-corruption institutions back in July, the new law had to be hastily repealed due to Western criticism and the first mass protests since the outbreak of full-scale war. They got caught. They stole all the money. They laundered the weapons into the Middle East. They got caught, and now they're all leaving town, hoping to escape alive without charges. That's probably going to be all Ukraine can get out of this deal, folks. America's not going to back Ukraine's war with Russia. They're just not going to do it. Europe, same story. They're just not interested. It's just not going to happen. So Ukraine has no chance to win the war. And they never did. So now I think the only concession is that Zelensky and the corrupt officials over there are just going to have to say, all right, can you just let us live outside of jail? I think that's the only thing that they can get out of this deal at this point. I don't think Trump is going to play ball much longer. I don't think Trump is going to do the leverage play much longer with the funding against Russia. I think that was a one-time play for Trump. I don't think he makes that move again. I think if this deal doesn't work, I think that's it. If this deal doesn't work, I think Ukraine is abandoned and it gets really nasty for Ukraine. And I think that's going to be how it's going to be proposed. I think Trump's played his cards against Russia. The geopolitical pieces have already fallen and settled on the board where they lie. So I think the tact is going to change here, and I think Trump's attitude is going to be, all right, look, this is your last deal. If you're not willing to accept the terms of this peace deal, then we're out. We're out. And I don't think you're going to get much support in Europe either, because I got all the leverage there too. So accept the peace deal, and maybe we can let you guys escape without life in prison. Maybe we can let you live the rest of your lives out in Europe, but take the peace deal, end the war. End the war and accept the concessions. And if you don't, America's out, Europe's out, and we can't guarantee anything for you. So I have a feeling that's where this one is going to go. I don't know how fast this is going to go. It could be till next year until we get an idea. They could try to push the pedal to the metal and get this done before Christmas. Now, J.D. Vance, talking about wars and foreign policy at a Breitbart event, speaking like a true, he's a millennial, right? Well, I think this is where the vast majority of Americans are at. I think this is where the attitude on the right is at. It's nice to hear J.D. Vance remaining consistent in this mindset.
Have an economic policy that's about building in the United States of America rather than shipping all of our jobs overseas and getting Wall Street enriched in the process. Let's have an economic policy that's about more self-sufficiency. I mean, I have 3 kids. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I don't want to wake up in a country where I take my kid to the doctor and they can't get antibiotics, because the antibiotics that were invented in the United States of America are manufactured in some foreign country. That is the legacy of the Republican Party that came before Donald J. Trump. We're not going back to it.
This is why J.D. Vance is remaining, in my view, the number 1 potential candidate for 2028. And I still remain strong in my belief that it could be no member of this administration is electable. But J.D. Vance might be the only one who might be able to beat that paradigm. Might be able to beat that when the time comes. He's probably the only one. You see Marco Rubio's name getting floated around. It's a nice idea, but it's not realistic. Not realistic. It's obviously too early to put together a real list because you don't even know who's going to run. I was going to put this list out on X. I kind of held back. And then somebody asked me, I've done like 5 different interviews this week. And somebody asked me, I think it was Shipwrecked last night. I was almost shipwrecked last night. I think she asked me, who do you think are the top candidates? I said, this is not my opinion, or this isn't what I want or what I would say for me as far as the 2028 candidates are concerned. This is just what I think this is where I think it's at, generally speaking. This is my political analysis of 2028 potential candidates for the Republicans. I think J.D. Vance is number 1. I do think Vance is number 1. I think number 2, I'd say Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would. Again, I would prefer, I don't know, I might prefer Marjorie to Vance, but I would say, just from my political polling, let's say, I'd say number 1 candidate right now is J.D. Vance. Number 2 candidate right now is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think Ron DeSantis and Tucker Carlson, kind of right below there. I don't think Tucker wants to get involved in politics, but if he did, that's where he'd be at. He'd be right around the 3rd, 4th kind of number there. You know, I was thinking that Thomas Massie, when I was first putting this list together, and this is why I ended up not putting it out, because I wanted to analyze a little bit further before I posted my first 2028 prediction or market, let's say. At first, I had Massie on there, and I thought, well, I don't know. I don't know if Massie is ready. I don't know if Massie has the charisma yet. I don't know if Massie has – I just don't know if he has that factor, that presidential factor yet. But you know what? I think his stock is rising. And I'm starting to see him kind of play a little more presidential. He doesn't usually make that play, but he's starting to play a little more presidential. So maybe he's thinking about it. He's in the 3-piece suits. He's shooting videos in his office with the leather chair. He's doing press conferences outside of the Capitol. So maybe Massie's stock is rising. I would say those are the most relevant names. Some interesting other names, maybe like a Stephen Miller. I don't know if he has interest in running. That'd be an interesting candidate, Stephen Miller. I wonder if Tulsi Gabbard has any interest in running again. I wonder if RFK Jr. has any interest in running again. These are some other interesting names. But I would say those are the names I'm looking at right now in the American right as potential candidates. Obviously, too early to even know who's running, but that's kind of my brief list right there. All right, you know what? I think we're gonna be able to get through almost all of our news today in the first 2 hours. So we'll probably be able to do about an hour of calls. I'm not seeing anything too big breaking. There's a couple of other stories on the Drudge Report I may want to pick up in the 3rd hour. Oh yeah, some Epstein news on there. That's going to be interesting. But all right, listen to this. I was shocked by this, and I think it tells a story. Fewer high school girls want marriage and kids despite steady desire among boys. If somebody asked you, this is from the Christian Post, they're citing a recent study from the Pew Research Center. If somebody asked you, high school aged boys and girls, where do you think they would fall on marriage and kids? Now, I feel pretty confident that my generation, women were way more interested in marriage and kids than men. I was in high school from 2004 to 2008. I graduated in 2008. So if you're listening and you're in that same age, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, but I'm 99% sure at that point in time in 2008, girls were way more interested in kids and marriage than boys were. Way more. Definitely in my case. And I had a couple of girlfriends, just a couple, not too many, maybe one or two. The girls were way more interested in marriage and kids than the boys were. I was almost not interested, but it wasn't even like I wasn't interested. I wasn't even thinking about it. But the girls, every once in a while, they might talk about it, think about it, especially marriage. This has changed. Let's go into this. The share of 12th graders who say they plan to get married has declined. So that's seniors in high school. Seniors in high school who say they plan to get married has declined, especially amongst girls, and fewer of them are interested in having children, according to a new report from the Pew Research Center. Data for the report was collected by the University of Michigan's Monitoring the Future Project, which is an ongoing study of the behaviors, attitudes, and values of Americans from adolescence through adulthood. The study surveys more than 25,000 8th, 10th, and 12th grade students annually. So tens of thousands of high school students. Pew researchers identified the massive shift in thinking among 12th grade girls after comparing survey responses of 12th graders in 1993 to the responses in 2023. So we're talking about 30 years. The data show that overall, 67% of America's 12th graders in 2023 say they will likely choose to get married someday, compared to 80% in 1993. It might not seem like a radical shift, but we're talking 13% of seniors in high school less interested in married and kids. There's a story there. Another 24% in 2023 weren't sure whether they would choose to get married, an increase from the 16% who said the same in 1993. The share of students in the cohort who said they will not get married increased from 5% to 9% over the period. That's almost a double. Not getting married, just committed to not getting married. You're a senior in high school, though. You don't know what you want. So, man, take whatever you want from that. But it's a mindset deal. When the data is broken down by gender, however, more boys, 74%, than girls, 61%, said in 2023 that they are likely to get married. That's wild. 74% of seniors, boys, senior boys in high school want to get married, compared to 61% of girls. That is a rapid switch. Forget 1993. That is a rapid switch from just 2008. In 1993, 83% of high school senior girls said they would more likely get married someday, compared to 76% of boys. See, this is why us boys are the best, isn't it? Isn't this why men are just the best? Isn't this why you love us so much? Isn't this why we're so lovable? We're just consistent. We're just men. We're just good, decent men. We changed 2% and we went up. We went from 74%, we went from 76% to 74%. So I guess technically we went down, depending on how you look at it. So 2% less. That's within a margin of, I'm not sure. Us boys are consistent, man. We're consistent through the generations, through the decades, through the eons of time, men, we still like the same stuff. Yes. The only reason the number went down is because more men are gay now. That's what I'm going with. I'm saying more men are gay now. That's the only reason why the number went down. And then, even if they do get married, only 51% of seniors in 2023 said they were very likely to stay married. So they're accepting that divorce is inevitable. And thus why get married. And I guess that's why the numbers are going down. It was 59% in 1993. So it's still kind of hopeless. Less than half high school seniors in 2023, 48%, stated that they were very likely to want to have children, compared to 64% in 1993. That's pretty dramatic. That's a pretty dramatic shift. Interest in having kids has gone way down. What's up with that? Is that part of the affordability crisis? Is that an economic thing? People are feeling less confident in the economy so that they're not wanting to have kids? What else would cause that? I'm just curious. And look, we can sit here and talk about propaganda in the schools and propaganda in the media, and there's a factor. I would say there's definitely a factor there. But how do you pinpoint that? I don't know. I don't know how I can really reach a conclusion that would cause such a dramatic swing. I think the economy and confidence in the economy is more of a factor there. I don't know. Is it? That's an interesting one. That's a big shift. People don't want to have kids anymore. Sad. Maybe that's part of like the abortion culture that is demeaning the value of life. Maybe it's because I don't know. I wasn't around in 1993 to know about people's sex culture, let's say. But, now with the different birth control and everything, I mean, maybe some of the value and the meaning of sex has gone down. So that kind of hits the desire to have kids too. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense. That's a dramatic shift to me. It's kind of sad. Kind of sad. In a separate report on marriage trends, it found that 46% of American adults are married today compared to 66% in 1950. Well, this is the divorce rates flying up. That's a separate one. So these are the I was the stats on the high school aged kids. I mean, I don't know if I would say shocking. But it was noticing. It was very noticeable. Makes me wonder. So you have the flip of it used to be girls wanting to get married and have kids. Now it's flipped. Now boys are more interested in getting married and having kids. But overall, interest in marriage and interest in having children is down. What do we think about that? What does that mean? Cultural issue, economic issue, combination of both, value of life issue, propaganda and culture issue. Interesting. Well, how about this? Get a little conspiratorial for you. If the unhumans that run this planet, the eugenists that run this planet, the population control artists that run this planet, well, they certainly would like you to not want to have kids, wouldn't they? They would certainly want that desire to go down. So maybe that's your propaganda angle right there. And then eventually you cross a threshold, maybe it's under 30%. You just say, hey, we're making having kids illegal. That's right. You're not allowed to have a kid unless you get permission. I pray to God that day never comes to this country. I think that would be one of the most dark policies that you could have. And obviously, we've seen it in other parts of the world. We've seen it in China. Can you imagine a government telling you you're not allowed to procreate? Can you imagine a government telling you you're not allowed to have a child? One of the most natural things, one of the most divine human instincts, keeping life going, continuing your lineage, raising a child, and they want to demonize that. They want to lower it, and then eventually they want to make it illegal, folks, is what they want to do. That's what the corporate world government really wants. They want to make having kids illegal. If that's not one of the most satanic things that you could think of or hear, I don't know what is. I hope I never live. First of all, I hope I never live in that world, but I hope that never happens to my country. It's kind of like the other side of the dirty abortion coin. It's like abortion is murder. Okay. And then you also now, if you want to keep baby murder legal, and now you're going to say you're not even allowed to procreate. That's dark. That's a dark day in humanity when that becomes official policy.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Well, I don't think the studies apply to the women in this chat. They seem to be wanting to have kids. It's a right-wing thing. All right, we're into the third hour of today's Owen Report. We've got most of the news off the desk. There's a couple things I want to pick up here before we sign off. A couple things that are already on the docket. I want to play this clip. Neuralink is making big advancements right now. This video, there's a creep factor. There's definitely a creep factor to this video, but bear with it here. So Neuralink making big advancements as far as human-machine interface is concerned. Let's listen in to one of the test cases for Neuralink and some of the results that they're seeing.
From the tour that you've had today, you've learned a lot about our technology.
Definitely.
What's one of the highlights from the tour today?
I really love the eye thing that you guys are working on, for vision. But that's one of the accessibilities. As someone who's a gamer, I know a lot of gaming people that play with like bad sight or no sight, and they definitely struggle like the hardest, and they definitely have the least amount of accessibility in games. So that was really cool to see. And obviously just to see the device up close and how small the threads are and the needle that goes in the brain, and just to see like the brains you guys made and seeing the needles go in, it's almost like you're seeing a live surgery. So that was pretty cool. Oh, the robot arm, that was definitely cool. How fast, Jake, how fast he typed with his mind. That blew my mind. I didn't even see him do it. So I was like, wait, you did that already? I can't even type that fast. So that was pretty cool.
From the tour that you've had today, you've learned a lot about our technology.
Definitely.
That's pretty heavy stuff, huh? Yeah? Pretty heavy. You know, I have to tell you, we're all getting a little. I'll play maybe some more of this. I'll play a little bit more of this commentary from this gentleman here. His name is Rocky. I understand, this is the future, folks. This is the future, because while we're all sitting here playing with the same political footballs, waiting for this administration to do anything, the AI world is being built all around us. And that's getting some attention. That's getting some noise drawn to it, the AI that's being built and everything else. But at the same time, getting less attention and maybe more significant is humans merging with machine. Because eventually it all becomes one. Eventually it all becomes a singularity. And you have to wonder, do we reach a point where it does happen and there is no independent individual anymore? It's just everybody connected to the hive mind. And then does humanity even exist? Does it have a purpose after that? Does it have a reason for existing after that? This is the real stuff. This is the real stuff we're not talking about that might be the most important, actually. And I have to tell you, and I was actually talking to my producer, DMT, about this, just to get his thoughts on it. I said, I'm thinking about, because I think a lot of people are getting burnt out on the political stuff. I got to be honest. It's getting a little redundant. It feels like we're stuck on a hamster wheel, and it's just like either Trump's going to do it or he's not, right? So, okay. Not enough people are following this stuff. And I said, what would you think if we kind of became like Musk reporters? That would be the best way I could put it. But like following the Neuralink news, following the Starlink news, following the SpaceX news, following the Optimus robot news. Like, this is all the future stuff that Musk is doing right now, competitive against the rest of the market that I think wants to put it all into the corporate world government. I think Musk is trying to build his own entity that wants to break free of a corporate world government. I think Musk wants his technology to free humanity. This is my interpretation. This is why Musk, for me, right now, is the highest approval rating of anybody, probably higher than Trump. Because that's just my interpretation. And I know not everybody will agree with that. But that's what I see. I see the global corporate government that's been being built for years, this slow burn, this process of boiling the frog in the pot, and then having kind of the flash moments to get us deeper, like a COVID or a war, censorship, whatever. It's like they've slowly been building up this corporate global government system ruled by AI, no freedom, all of it. Okay. And then Musk is over here building like his own entire ecosystem that's going to compete with it. So you can sit here and say, hey, maybe you don't like Musk. Maybe you don't like the technology. Okay, fair enough. But he's the only one building an alternative option. Musk is the only person right now building an alternative to the corporate global satanic government that's been slowly being built up over a long plan period for decades, for centuries, you could even say. That's why, to me, Musk is so important. That's why, to me, my approval rating of Musk is so high. And that's why part of me is thinking, do I just like really start to dedicate time to these developments? I live in Austin. He's based in Austin. Maybe I could get an in. I've been considering it. I'm going to tell you, I've been considering it. I've had some emails that I haven't sent that I've been thinking about sending, seeing if I can't get some local access, some exclusive stuff. I don't know if I would ever, I guess I would go do like a Neuralink interview like this lady does here. We'll play some more of it. But it would just more be like, I just want to cover this news because not enough people are covering it. And it's like, oh, it's the same political hamster wheel. Meanwhile, there's like these competing superpower AI agendas. It's like you have multiple factors competing. Who's going to get the superpower AI? Where is the power going to be concentrated? How is it going to be applied? What role is the human going to factor into all of this? And it's always been consolidated. It's always been centralized to serve a single purpose. And now Musk has an entire alternative ecosystem of it over here. So it's like you can like it or not, but that's what's happening. And I don't know. You look at somebody that's disabled It's inevitable, folks. If we can do it, we're going to do it. And are you going to say, no, I don't want somebody that's blind to see? Are you going to say, no, I don't want somebody that's paralyzed not to walk? Are you going to, is that going to be a policy for you? It's inevitable. This is all happening. So this is, again, one of their test cases. This gentleman, Rocky, he used to be an athlete. He played hockey. He broke his neck. He's one of the test cases for Neuralink here. So let's listen to a couple more of these clips.
What was your life like before injury, and how did your life change after injury?
I broke my neck in 2006. Before my injury, I played hockey. I had 2 jobs. They're all hands-on stuff. I like to work on cars. So when I broke my neck, all that was gone. So I kind of like got lost and depressed and didn't know what to do. I watched a lot of TV. And then once I found the quad stick that I game with and I started streaming, I kind of found a purpose and a reason to not only live, but like, I don't want to say I was meant to break my neck and be in a wheelchair, but I'll say like the amount of people I've helped inspired or showed them how to game or create content, it's okay what happened to me because I know I'm doing a lot of good in the world.
How did you navigate that landscape of assistive technology and like, how did you discover the quad stick?
Definitely, yes. I use a quad stick for a lot of things, but what most people don't know is I use a stylus pen in my mouth, more so for like editing, commenting, posting, researching, all that stuff, just because it's quicker. And the quad stick I use mostly for gaming and streaming, but I've used a lot of devices over. It's been 2006, 19 years since I broke my neck, so I've used a lot of assistive devices, but the quad stick and a mouth pen so far has been the most fast and accurate to do what I want to do and get it done.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, what are your favorite games to play and why?
My favorite game.
I mean, let's rephrase this, folks. They are humans and machines are merging right now. This is happening. So as AI is groundbreaking and becoming more prevalent and becoming the dominant use of energy on this planet, this is all happening. So AI is becoming the dominant use of energy, and humans are currently merging with machine. Kind of significant, no? How many people are talking about it? Kind of significant. And we're just sitting here playing on the same political football field with the same political footballs on the same damn hamster wheel all day, all night. Can't get any real reforms. By the way, Musk has announced, I'm sure he loves this one, this will be his favorite version of Grok, the Grok 420 update. Hee hee, ha ha, ho ho. Which is a major improvement, might be ready by Christmas. He's going to do it by Christmas. He's going to say it's a 420 Christmas gift. I'm not big into the use of AI. Is Grok the best? I really don't know. I don't use AI too much. I use Grok every once in a while. I guess I use the Google AI every once in a while. It's just on their search engine. Does Grok really have the best AI? Because Musk is certainly selling it as that. But I really don't know. And I was gonna shoot a video about the new X algorithm, and maybe I'll do that separately. I think I'll just shoot that as a separate video for X. All right. Now I'm 50-50 if I want to do this. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I said I would, so let's go ahead and do it. So as you know, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, I went real heavy on the coverage, and then after the big ceremony in Phoenix, I said, all right, I'm backing off. It's becoming way too toxic. I've already done all my coverage. I've stated my pieces. I've told you the conclusions I've reached, and I'm just kind of backing away. And whenever there's a news story that breaks, I'll give you the news story update. So, if you're really following the saga, Candace Owens and Ryan Matta, I think, are probably the two people in the independent media that are really just continuing to hit this story every day, give you all the new curveballs and new developments. So if you are following it like that, that's probably where you're going. And there's been some wild stuff, folks. That's all I'll say. There's been some wild stuff. But like I said, until something hits the actual news wire, that I'm just backing off. It's way too toxic. It's so nasty out there. I've already reached my conclusions that it doesn't add up. I don't know what's going on with it, but it doesn't add up. I don't know what to make of the revelations that are being built up right now with the wildness. Crazy stuff, folks. And it's funny because nobody wants to address. People will attack Candace Owens. Fine, whatever. But nobody seems to be able to address what she's actually saying or disprove it. So that factor continues to play out. But nonetheless, we're back in the news. We're back in the news today. Now, I guess I'll start here with the story, and then I've got the local report. But this was shared by Candace Owens. Footage of Tyler Robinson turning himself into police does not exist. The footage simply does not exist anymore, or maybe it never existed in the first place. You decide. And then she shares a article here. This is from the local Utah CBS station, KUTV. Headline: 2 News investigates, discovers possible missing evidence in Charlie Kirk murder case. Now I'm going to play the local report here as they're trying to get some evidence and some video that should be public domain, and I'll play the local report and tell you the issue they're having there. Here's what I'll say before that. There's a lot of weirdness around the whole Tyler Robinson thing, the entire thing. His activities before, his activities the day of, and whatever led him to getting turned in and ultimately arrested. The whole thing is very strange, to say the least. And there are things that you think would be easily answered or easily accessible. And the local news is finding out not so much. Not so much. Now, this is all very reminiscent of something that happened in 2016 for me, but I'll hold off for that for now. Let's go to the local CBS News report. So the Charlie Kirk assassination discussion is now going into the mainstream with things that I guess people are just scratching their heads at, saying, how can this be?
Rudy Bautista is a Rule 8 attorney, qualifications only select number of defense attorneys in Utah have in order to defend cases with a capital offense, some involving a possible death penalty. He's not affiliated with the case involving Tyler Robinson, who's accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk back in September. I showed him what I found that could indicate there's potential missing evidence in the case.
He said, hey, I know who Charlie Kirk shooter is.
On September 17th, 2025, Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby held a press conference.
Our job was not to interview. Our job was just to get him here.
After Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter was taken into custody in Washington County less than 2 days after the shooting.
Within the hour, my friend drove Tyler and his parents to my office, where he was greeted by plainclothes detectives.
After learning of this, I submitted a public records request to obtain any video of Tyler Robinson walking into the jail facility. Washington County responded saying there were no records responsive to the request, as Robinson did not go to the jail area. Our request for any holding room video was denied. A few weeks later, I re-upped the request on a more generalized scale for surveillance video showing Tyler Robinson walking into the sheriff's office.
For the state of Utah, we would certainly hope that this video is available.
The response? Our office does not have any applicable records responsive to this request, as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period.
If in fact it has been destroyed and not preserved is very concerning. And if it has, then it's very concerning that they're telling you they don't have it. If they no longer have it, I would have expected to say that this video has been provided to the Utah County law enforcement. Please contact them.
Missing video footage or footage that never existed? I don't see any other scenarios here. That's what you get. Either the footage never existed or for whatever reason, it's gone. Now, folks, let me tell you what this or maybe better to be said as with the current political players on the field. It's a totally different roster today than there was in 2016. Let's put it that way. The names, the faces, the commentators, everything in political media, totally different today than it was in 2016. I'm one of the few that was there in 2016 that's still around today. So a lot of people may not remember Pizzagate. They may not remember how insane that got, how big that got. And for a minute there, we were basically like Alice in Wonderland. And then it went mainstream. The original Pizzagate investigators, let's say, considered crazy. And then all of a sudden, it got so big, the story got so big, that it became unavoidable, even for mainstream press. And so some mainstream press, I think, kind of leaned in to try to disprove it, or leaned in to try to castigate those that were making a big fuss of it out as crazies. And instead, it went a different direction. Instead, Pizzagate, for a moment, went mainstream. And just like this, you had local news reporters picking it up, pointing out stuff that was in the emails and some of the other crazy anomalies. And then there was a major incident and the whole thing got shut down. And it was like the whole thing got shut down and buried and never to be spoke of again. I feel like we're at that same point with the Charlie Kirk assassination now. It's like, okay, the crazy conspiracy theorist, everything's a conspiracy theory. All right, same usual suspects, everything is a conspiracy theory. Oh, it's the Kirk assassination conspiracy theory. All right. And then eventually it just keeps going, and eventually some other people, some mainstream people, some local news reporters say, you know what, I'm curious, I'm interested, I'm going to investigate this, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to see if I can. And then they are like, maybe there is something here. Maybe there is something here. It's playing out just like Pizzagate did in 2016. So I'm wondering now what's going to come next. So now that you get this new piece of information that they either have no footage of Robinson turning himself in or no footage of Robinson going to the sheriff's office, you have to ask, how is that even possible? How is that even possible? This is Epstein. This is no footage of Epstein in the prison level ridiculous. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, how can you still believe that this is above board? How can you still think that there isn't a massive cover-up going on here? I don't know. Again, I don't know what to believe. I've got things I might think. I'm not ready to commit to saying them on air. That's why I'm just going of, okay, when there's news breaking, I'll tell you. But I'll say this. I'll just reaffirm this for right now since we are covering it. I still do not believe Tyler Robinson took the shot. I don't. I can lay out a million different reasons, but I'll just put it like this. I'll put it very simply. I don't need to have a debate. If you think I'm crazy because I don't believe Tyler Robinson took the shot, then I have one simple ask. Show me the footage of him taking the shot. And if you can't, or if you won't, Why not? Now, in fairness, there could be a reason why not. They might have the footage. They should have the footage. There's no reason why they shouldn't have the footage, but they might not be showing it for some other reason. Maybe. And eventually, maybe we'll see it. But I haven't seen it. And they have shared footage of Robinson running across the roof and jumping off. And we know for a fact that that same video footage that they've shared will have Tyler Robinson lining up and taking the shot. If he did. If he did. But if he didn't, then that video would prove that he didn't do it. But if he did, that video would prove that he did. Why don't we have that video? Now we don't have video of him turning himself in. We don't have video of him going into the sheriff's office. What is going on here? Why are you mad at people for not believing absolute garbage? Why are you mad at people for asking perfectly reasonable questions about things that don't add up? You might not like the way certain people have handled it. You might not have liked some of the results that have resulted in, let's say, ratings wars over this story. Totally get it. But how can you not admit that there is something weird going on here? And I feel like I'm taking the most neutral, fair, don't want to be skeptic. I don't want to be skeptical about this. I don't, folks. How can you not be? So I just asked this. Why don't we have the video of him taking the shot? It's the most obvious thing. They have the video. They've shared part of the video. Why don't they give us the video? It'll either disprove everybody or it'll prove everybody right. Why don't they post that video? They clearly edited the video of the most important moment of the entire day. And all we get is an edited video. Somebody knows. Somebody knows the answer to this question. But I guess now they figure if we run out the clock, then we won't have to provide the video and we'll just say, oh, because of a 30-day retention policy or a 30-day retention algorithm, we don't have the video. So you never had the video? Did you ever want the video? Did you ever ask for the video? Does the video exist? This is the least conspiratorial observation and question that you can have on this whole thing, folks. Believe me. Some of the other stuff that's popped up around this story, it'll blow your mind. Problem is, I don't know what it means. That's why I don't cover it, because I just don't know what it means. I could potentially reach conclusions. I could guess what it means. I just don't know what it means. And the whole thing has become so toxic, it's like it's almost not even worth it, because just even going down those routes, some people will think you're nuts. They'll never tune in again. And I think I'm not ready to do that. I have other more important things that I cover. I want to do news coverage for 100 years, let's say. So I don't want to lose those people who aren't ready for some uncomfortable things to be brought out in front of them. Sometimes I am, but I just don't know what they mean. I don't know what the search engine results mean. I don't know what all the weird address search engine results mean. I don't know what all this missing video means. I don't know what all the weird chat GPT fake message board communications mean. But I do know this. The most important video from the entire day that would put the entire conversation to rest, they won't share with us. You tell me why. I don't know. But they won't. Somebody knows the answer to this. They could share the video. They have the video. We know they have the video, and they won't share it with us. Why? Why? You can put the entire thing to rest. And I think it's funny, too. I think it's funny, too, that the loudest voices on this that are attacking Candace Owens mostly, but they'll attack others, too. But Candace just is top in the ratings right now, so they're always going to go after the top. She's reaching the most people on this. So that's who they're trying to character assassinate. But to me, it's pretty simple. Candace is not your problem. And if you want to shut Candace Owens up, if that's really what you want, and you're in it for the right reasons, then you should be asking the exact same question that I'm asking right now, and you should be demanding the exact same thing that I'm demanding right now. Give us the video. That's all you got to do. Give us the video. But you know what? Now, so much time has passed that even if you did finally produce that video, people probably won't believe you. They'll say it's doctored. They'll say it's AI. And how can you blame them? Why wouldn't you have released the video? So, to the people that want Candace to be silenced, hell, let's go a step further. To the people that want Candace Owens to be embarrassed, to the people that can't wait to rub Candace Owens' face in the mud, you should be asking the question and asking for the same thing I'm asking. Just give us the video. You want to disprove Candace Owens? Give us the video. You want to shut Candace Owens up? Show us the video. Why aren't you demanding it? Why aren't you asking for it? That's all you need. That's all you need. You don't need to get into this war of words with Candace. You don't need to go into the mud with Candace. All you need is that video. That's all you need. Why aren't you asking for it? And why haven't we got it? And does it even exist? And now you got this new video phenomenon. I don't know. Gotta wonder. All right, I want to take calls here. There's a very interesting story, and I don't think this is really much of a secret. Where is it on Drudge? Family affair. Commerce Secretary's sons crash in on AI frenzy. This is an interesting one. And I like Howard Lutnick. I think he's one of the people inside the administration that's actually working. But you find out he's working and it's benefiting his own family. So, okay. Commerce Secretary's son cash in on AI frenzy. So Howard Lutnick is helping push data center projects. His family companies are profiting from them. So they're all in on the take. They're all in on the take, folks. All the families of this administration, the giant wealth transfer that's happening right now into the AI field, into the crypto field, they're all at the foundational level. They're all about to make massive amounts of generational wealth. And I'll just say this to the administration. You can do this. All right? And you'll be able to even defend it. And there will be people that will say, oh, look, it's an oligarchy. And there will be people that will say, oh, look, it's, basically insider trading and all that stuff. And they'll have a fair point. So I would just say this to the administration and the members of the administration that are creating generational wealth for their families right now with this administration's policies. You can come out of this clean. I'd even say you can get away with this. And I know that that's kind of inferring that you're, doing something illegal. I'm not saying that, but let's just say in the political culture world, you can get away with this. You can get away with enriching your families and creating generational wealth for your families with this massive wealth transfer happening right now in these industries. You can get away with this, but there's only one way you can do it. There's only one way you're going to be able to get out of this. And that's if you actually fix the U.S. economy. If you don't fix the U.S. economy, if you don't ease the financial stress that the average American is under, eventually these stories are going to get to everybody, and they're going to really, really look differently about this administration. And it's going to look really bad, folks, because they're all making out like bandits. They're all making out like bandits. It's so obvious. It's not even a secret, folks. They're all creating generational wealth for themselves right now. And the big tell, if you want to know how obvious it is, follow the stock market. How do you think somebody like me who's never traded a stock in his life can decide in the year 2025 he's going to start trading stocks? And all I have to do is follow the moves of this administration, and you can beat the highest traders. Because it's a rigged game, folks. It's all happening right in front of you. So, yeah, eventually these stories are going to get bigger. And people on the left and people on the right are going to start taking notice. They're going to start talking. And you can't deny that this is happening. It's all public record. If you don't fix the U.S. economy, you guys are going to go down as total villains. I don't want to see that for you. I'm just telling you, if you guys walk away from this administration with this giant wealth transfer, if you guys walk away from this administration fabulously enriching yourselves, generational wealth for your kids, but you don't fix the economy for the average American, you guys are going to go down as the ultimate villains. Especially if you don't even make a single Epstein arrest. Huh, imagine that. They're going to walk away with gobs of generational wealth, cover up the Epstein story, and leave the U.S. economy in tatters while we're fighting wars on the other side of the planet. You guys got to fix this, man. You got to correct course on this, man. I won't even care. I won't go into that and say, geez, look at them all enriching themselves. Look at the crypto scams. Look at the AI scams. Oh my gosh, look at them all. Insider trading. Look at them all. No bid contracts. I won't even make a fuss about it. I'll let it slide. If you just fix the country, if you fix the economy, if you get us out of these wars, if you arrest the pedophile elites, if you drain the swamp, if you arrest the deep state, if you actually do what we elected you to do, we'll let it go. We'll say, fine. You guys created generational wealth for your family, but you know what? You saved the country. I'll tip my cap. I'll say you deserve it. But if you fail to deliver on any of these things and you walk away from this administration with gobs of generational wealth, you guys are going to look like total villains. And I guess I'm wondering if anybody is communicating this to you, if you guys are even aware of the public perception right now. Seems like the only person that might have any acute awareness of this is J.D. Vance, but he's isolated. He's the vice president. There's only barely cracks that can get through to him. Charlie's gone, so you've lost the last voice of reason. You've lost the last voice of public perception in your ear. So maybe they just have no idea that this is the perception now. Maybe they're just totally in the dark that this is the perception now. It would appear that way. Okay. We've got time to take some phone calls. Let's put the number up. Let's open the phone lines. Here we go. 747-255-60. 747-255-60 is the number to get in today. Anything we've discussed is fair game. I'm curious. What do you think about Trump saying sedition, death penalty for that Democrat video? What news story stuck out to you today? What do you want to talk about? Let's take the first caller of the day. What's your name? Where you're from?
Jay, Pittsburgh.
All right, Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, got a cough here. Clearing my throat. Anyway, you usually ask for people to disagree with you, which I normally don't. But when it comes to like the Muslim thing and all that, I remember when you were all about Tommy Robinson and posting all this stuff or saying all this stuff about it. I wonder where that changed.
Well, what changed? Can you point to something specifically?
Well, the Muslims attacking people in England and Europe, and it's like moving over. Like you were really outspoken about that, and the Muslims infecting Michigan and overtaking the political leadership.
Okay, so are you saying I've softened on the Muslim issue? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just questioning if you are. I'm not. I'm just wondering.
Well, I think there's a couple of factors that weigh into that. I think that I'm realizing that a lot of that is driven by bad foreign policy, and the bad foreign policy is driven by foreign lobbyists. So I guess the conclusion that I've reached is that, yes, I don't like the Islamification of America. I don't like the Islamification of U.S. cities. I don't want to see that. Okay, so I'm still against that from a social, from a cultural, from a political issue. But I'm somebody that looks for root causes. I'm somebody that looks for root causes so that we can actually find solutions. And so the conclusion I've landed on, the only reason the Islamification of the West is happening is because of bad foreign policy. And the bad foreign policy is a result of foreign lobbying. So I guess the issue for me, if I want to find the solution, if I want to find the cure to the Islamification of the West, the solution for me is stop the foreign lobbyists that are causing the bad foreign policy that is causing the Islamification of the West.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's what I just wanted to hear, like your perception, because a lot of times I agree with you on stuff, and I appreciate the point of view. Like I was just the way it was worded earlier. I don't know. It was just a question I had,
I think it's a good question. It's a good question. It's a fair question. It's a good conversation. I'm glad you did it. Next caller, what's your name? Where you're from?
How you doing, Owen? Don in Orange County.
All right, Don, go ahead.
Hey, I got a quick thing I got to get off my chest with this Trump thing. I think you can feel me on this. We already voted for this Epstein stuff and everything. We voted for this stuff when we voted his ass in. Okay, because he's the one that ran on it. Okay, and here we got to vote on every little thing, and then when they pass it, it's like, it becomes this whole thing. We got to vote on this, and we got to censor that. We can't have it. It's all about national security, and it's like, I'm tired of that shit, dude. Once you see that in the government, and once you see that's how it rolls, you can't unsee that. And as far as the Charlie Kirk thing with this guy, as well as I do, because I've had run-ins with the law back when I was a young kid. If they record and they have footage on you.
Let's be clear. The minute you step foot on a police parking lot, they got footage of you.
Yes. And I'm sure they got footage of you being perp walked.
Absolutely. In fact, I'd be surprised if they didn't. Why wouldn't they have rolling cameras when they're bringing them in? You'd think for their own protection, they would be rolling cameras when they bring them in.
Yeah, totally. And this is what I'm saying. This is where I'm at with it all. It's like, you know what? I don't want to hear another vote on nothing. We had the mandate. We had everybody set in office. All these people said they were going to do all these things, and Trump coming out with it all. And then I guess it was like, hey, they couldn't keep that charade up for too much longer. And then the reality finally kicked in, and he had to play ball. None of this, I'll have the Ukraine war done in 24 hours, all that tough talk. You don't hear none of that stuff anymore. And calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a freaking traitor, what a fucking punk he is. I don't want to hear him talk anymore. It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's a patriot. She's one of two that hasn't taken the money. Now, if that's not a patriot, and not a traitor, I don't know what is. But other than that, man, I'm glad I got in touch with you today. And I got in at I'm baking cookies right now, dude, because I do this every Thanksgiving. Oh yeah.
What kind of cookies? This is great. Let's talk about cookies. Oh, are they done? Chocolate, are they in the oven right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, can you give us a nice? Can you just give us a nice smell that? We want to smell the chocolate cookies with you.
Hey, let me open the oven up right now.
Oh yeah, open the oven. Let that hot chocolate cookie waft hit our face. Oh.
Hey, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
We got to do anything to find some joy in this world, huh?
But hey, you know what? Are you feeling me on that, dude? Or it's like I don't want to hear another damn vote on nothing. We had the mandate. We had all the right players in there. If you can't do this shit, then what are you there for?
Yeah. No, you're not alone. You're not alone at all. That's what I think a lot of the public perception is. And thank you for the call. I'm glad you got into. Let me say this in response, and I may have said this yesterday, or I can't. You know what? I always go through this process, by the way. In a week like this week, where I think I did 5 interviews outside of my show, everything kind of starts to merge and blend. Thursday feels like Friday, and then sometimes you forget what you said on your show versus someone else's show. So if I said this on my show already, I'm sorry for the redundancy, but I know I've talked about this topic before. Here's why Don calls in and is kind of like, hey, this is what I'm thinking and feeling. This is what the people that I'm around kind of are thinking and feeling too. And then he talks about a specific issue or a specific event, like what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump. And he's kind of like, but he's a little hesitant. He's a little questioning of it. He's like, are you seeing this too? Are you feeling this way too? And I'm confirming it. But here's the reason why. And this is the psychological warfare. This is the psychological warfare. This is the propaganda working as intended. The reason why Don feels a little maybe hesitant about the things that he's thinking and feeling is because the PSYOP war has you thinking that you're not thinking clearly. It has you thinking that you're in the minority or that that's not what most people are thinking, when the truth is it is. And it all gets back to the Trump loyalists and the Trump cultists. Think about it like this. You've got certain people in the media, they're scared because if they lose their access to the Trump administration, the Trump team, whatever it is, that they're going to lose a lot of their abilities. They're going to lose a lot of their access, abilities, coverage, whatever it is in media. And so it's kind of a self-protection mechanism to stay positive on Trump because they need the access. You have some people that have built an entire personality, an entire brand, an entire business model after supporting Trump, so they can't say anything negative about Trump. Their bottom line is dependent on Trump. If they start going negative on Trump, well, that hurts their bottom line, so they're not going to do it. Here's a perfect example for you to understand. Look at Scott Jennings on CNN. I like Scott Jennings, probably agree with 80%, 90% of what he says. Scott Jennings on CNN, he's fantastic talent on CNN. Scott Jennings is selling a book right now about Trump. Trump is on the cover of the book. How are you going to market and sell a book about how great Trump is with Trump on the cover as you're being critical of him? Obviously, you're not. So you understand, this is what's going on. So to people that aren't directly involved, from people that aren't benefiting from the administration with access or just politically, whatever, people that haven't built a brand or a bottom line or an online persona, whatever it is, off of Trump or MAGA, you get outside of that world of the people that are directly tethered to Trump and dependent on Trump. You get outside of that world, everybody thinks like you, brother. Everybody thinks like you. But that's why they keep people desperate and keep people dependent on that world as a psychological warfare operation against you, thinking that you're crazy because you keep seeing all the positivity and all the positive posting. Oh, it's great. Oh, this is what I voted for. It's all a psychological warfare. Go with your gut. Go with your instincts. More times than not, you'll be right. But if you really want to remove all doubt, you listen to this show. If you really want to remove all doubt, you call in and talk to me. But you already know that, see? Next caller, what's your name, where you're from? Do we have you? All right, we'll try another one. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
Hello, Owen. My name is Ahmed. I'm from Oregon. I want to say I'm very thankful for your show. I just found you recently on YouTube.
I've got an Ahmed that calls in New York City. Now I've got an Ahmed that calls in Oregon. That's called full spectrum landmass dominance.
Yes, I would call it that too.
What's up?
My question, Owen, is have you heard about the recent news that just come out today about Mike Huckabee meeting with Jonathan Pollard, the traitor?
Yeah, I covered that. I covered that in the first hour. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I was at work. I missed it. I just wanted your input. I guess I will go watch the live afterwards.
Yeah, I covered that in the first hour. I think Huckabee I don't know how informed Huckabee is on these issues anymore. So I think
I guess I disagree with you. I think he's well informed, but he's just a puppet in the right place.
Maybe.
For doing the right thing.
Yeah,
for the special people.
That could be true. The angle that I took was that if you saw, I'm sure you saw what he said about Trump. Did you see what Pollard said about Trump?
No, I did not actually.
So Pollard came out. So Pollard and the New York Times are at the embassy. Somehow somebody organizes and orchestrates this whole thing. I doubt it was Huckabee. Maybe it was. I doubt it. But okay, whoever it was, somebody orchestrates this meeting with Jonathan Pollard, the U.S. spy, the Israeli spy, got caught in the U.S. and the New York Times. Yes. And so he gives a post for the New York Times. He gives a quote and he says, Trump. I'm paraphrasing, but he basically says Trump sold us out to Saudi Arabia. Trump took the Saudi Arabian gold. Okay. And then you go on to X and you see all these accounts that are literally posting that same Israel propaganda. Jonathan Pollard is an Israeli intelligence asset. Jonathan Pollard posted and planted propaganda in the New York Times that Trump sold us out to Saudi Arabia for gold. And then all of these accounts on X were posting literal Israeli intelligence propaganda on their social media posts.
I see. It's another propaganda campaign like usual.
There it is.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again, and I'm very glad that we have some people who are actually speaking about what's concerning.
Well, thank you, Ahmed. And I provide all the evidence and everything in the first hour if you want to go back and watch it instead of just kind of recapping it here with you. Thank you for the call. Next caller, what's your name? Where you're from? Next caller, what's your name? Where you're from?
Phil from Kentucky.
All right, Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just let you know, man, you're talking about some murky stuff. So, I mean, I know where you're from, and I know you, spent your time as a J6er, so you're for real. But before I would get into all the stuff like Pizzagate and all that stuff that's real, I'd get you and your producer and talk to somebody that has to do with intelligence, because all this, like they say, when you call up to an insurance company, all calls are being recorded for quality purposes. I mean, we all know that everything's being recorded, by intelligence agencies. So if you're going to get into real murky stuff or whatever, I don't want you to have problems like Seth Rich or Hillary Clinton's ex-cook and one of the guys that caught Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch talking on the plane. He goes to Arizona, comes back 5 years later, and he gets a bullet in his head. So, I mean, I would talk to some serious people about that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And not trying to. This is not coming from a place of arrogance. It's coming from a place of humility. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But I'm very well aware of what you're communicating.
Yeah.
I've I've got a lot of experience in this, so I'm very aware. I'm very measured, maybe more so than ever now that I'm even independent. It's even more meaningful to me to be measured and consider these things.
Well, that's even where I was speaking from. I was concerned because the fact of the matter is you're going to have to research it, but the PayPal was created by Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is not your friend, and neither is Elon Musk. So I needed to tell you before you go visit him. So go ahead and check all that out. But you can literally look at a bio on the internet. It's all out there.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk is definitely not my friend. I've never met him. Maybe, I don't know if he would be or not. This isn't, to me, when I'm weighing into these things, and I'm glad you called and brought this up, because maybe I can provide a little better clarity to this here. I'm not weighing into these things as It's like, am I supporting Elon Musk? Am I a fanboy of Elon Musk? I do say my approval rating is high of Elon Musk. I understand all the concerns. Believe me, I'm not discounting your concerns at all. But to me, it's more of a, Musk is the richest man in the world, or he's one of the more rich men in the world, and he's one of the more influential, powerful men in the world. That's just a fact, whether I like him or not. And so monitoring what his companies are up to and then kind of grading that versus this infrastructure, this corporate global government infrastructure that we've been seeing build up in our country for years now, to me, that's the measurement here. It's not is Elon Musk my friend or is Elon Musk good or evil? You can reach your own conclusions. I'm not necessarily trying to convince you either way. I'm just saying this is the significant stuff that's happening. This is the AI race, the humans merging with machine race. We've known that there's been a sector that wants a corporate global government that's been constructing this rollout for centuries to put us all in the prison planet. And now Elon Musk has created its own independent alternative ecosystem to the entire thing. And so I think he's aware of it too. I think Trump is aware of it too. And I think that Susie Wiles is directly involved in all of this at the White House level, by the way. So I'm just covering it more of a news phenomenon. Again, I do have a high approval rating of Musk right now, but it's not about is he my friend or is he good or bad? It's more of I'm looking at the horizon and judging what's in front of us. All right, next caller. What's your name? Where you're from?
Hey, Owen, it's Frank. I'm in North Carolina.
All right, Frank, go ahead.
Hey, bud, I just want to tell you I appreciate the work you're doing. Been following you since day one, and prior to that also. So I do appreciate the work you're putting in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think I might have been the one that coined the phrase, you got the Barry Gibb look going.
Was that you? Sure. When was that? That was Halloween. Somebody called in on Halloween and said that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're riding. We're all in now. You created a trend.
Dude, at the beginning of the show, when I saw that
you like
Staying
that?
Alive thing, I was like, oh my God, I am responsible for that. So
well, let me give credit where credit is due. So you came up with the original idea that kind of set this whole thing downstream. That video was sent to me by the account InfoWars Fan. I don't know if you follow it on X. He's got a pretty decent following on X. InfoWars Fan. He sent me that video today, and he said, hey, check out this video. And I laughed so hysterically. I was like, all right, I got to make that the lobby video. That's too fun.
It was great. It was absolutely perfect. You couldn't have done any better.
We got to have fun.
Hey,
we got to have fun. All right.
Absolutely. Look, if we don't have fun, man, it's all over. But I got to tell you, this Muslim thing that's going on in Dearborn and Minneapolis, and this is freaking me out. It really is. And there's some stuff going on in Texas also that is really.
You're talking about the Epic Center? That's like a giant Muslim community they're building.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, why are we allowing this to happen? Why are we not booting these people out of here? I understand religious freedom and all that, and I'm all for that. But their agenda is not religious freedom. This is about taking over our country. And we're slowly letting them and people like Mamdani into our culture. Our culture is precious as far as I'm concerned. It's what makes us Americans. And these people are not Americans. They're using this against us, and they know how the game is played, and they're using it against us. And we're allowing it to happen. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, because I can already hear the voices building up. Israel is the ones conquering our country. It's the Jews that are the ones conquering our country. So, okay, you know that's going to be a response from a lot of people when you bring up this issue. So let's try to actually let's try to actually make sense of it. Let's try to actually bring it down to earth. And that's why I did, when that caller called and asked where I stand on the issue, I explained, well, I think the root cause of it is bad foreign policy, and I think it's foreign lobbyists. And so that's why I'm more focused on this than, addressing what is the surface level now with these Islamic centers popping up all across the country. So it's like, I can be against two things at once. And I think that that's where I'm landing at right now, because I always try to have logical consistency, right? When I see these accounts, like, okay, let's have fair rules. Like, if we're going to set these rules and standards for political content, for political commentary, then they need to be applied fairly. They need to be applied equally. And if they're not, then I'm questioning your motives. I'm questioning your honesty. So when I see that it's totally fair, and I won't name names. Everybody knows who it is. They're all over the place. It's totally fair to go on there and engage in Muslim hate. It's totally fair to go on there and blame in Islamic hate, and Islamic are all terrorists and all rapists and all pedophiles. You see that all the time. You see it all the time, and that's perfectly fair play. Anybody can go out and say all of these negative things about Islam and Muslims, and that's totally fair play, and it's what you get. But if you dare say anything negative about Jewish people, or if you dare say that there's a Jewish problem, all of a sudden you're the bad guy, you're cast out, you're not allowed to do it. Now, I would say all of these groups are very diverse. Anybody that thinks all Muslims think the same, you don't live in reality. Anybody that thinks all Jews think the same, you don't live in reality. There'll be Muslims that you could probably get along with, that you probably see eye to eye on a lot of things with. There's Muslims that probably you see nothing eye to eye with. Same with Jewish people. There's probably Jewish people you see everything eye to eye with, and there's Jewish people that you don't see anything eye to eye with. This is called normal humanity. This is called normal social humanity. A diverse group of humans. So all of it, I think, is bunk. I think all of it is ridiculous. I think the watered down conversation and content on this subject matter is part of the problem. And that's why people are bailing out. That's why Michael Savage says, I'm done. I'm muting comments. I can't deal with it anymore. But I just look for equal application. I just look for equal logic and equal application of logic. And when I don't see it, I call it out. And then you have to wonder why. You have to wonder why you don't have logical consistency on certain things. So that's kind of where I'm at on the issue. And I've always been here. I don't want to see any of the foreign influence. I want to live in America. I want to live in the country founded in 1776, based off of the ideas of Christianity and Jesus Christ. I want to see a country with the political ideas of small government, little to no foreign involvement, foreign entanglement. I want free markets. Like, that's what I care about. That's what I want. I don't want any of these groups influencing. I don't want Muslim groups. I don't want Jewish groups. I don't even need Christian groups influencing it. I just want to live as a free person. I just want to live as a free American, and I want the government out of my damn life, and I want all these different lobbyists out of my damn life too. But they're the ones that control the government.
You and I are on the exact same page. I look at it exactly the same way. I want our country to be the best it can be, but we're being infiltrated. And, this whole thing, let me tell you something. I grew up across the river from St. Louis, so I'm very familiar with it. All the things you talk about, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. I know where that is. I've been to Forest Park a million times. I've been all over St. Louis. I consider that almost my second home. And when I hear you talk about that, it makes my heart pound just a little bit, because I love the fact that you were so close to me, and I never got a chance to meet you, but we're far apart in age. I'm 74. You're what, 35, 34, or something like that?
36.
So there was never, yeah, I was trying to give you some grace there. There was never a chance our paths were going to cross. But I know all the things that you talk about when you refer to St. Louis. I know every bit of it. It's like I'm there. I'm with you. But, man, Owen, I love you, brother. I want you to keep on doing what you're doing. Stick up for what's right. Call the people out when it's bullshit, and do the job you're doing. And me and everybody else is behind you. I promise you that.
I appreciate that. And again, I talk about it a lot. Maybe it drives some people crazy, but it's actually meaningful to me. It is meaningful to me that I get to actually talk and meet people that either listen to the show or just like to talk politics with me because they know I'm into the political world. So, I'm just out going through my normal, let's say, social interactions last night, had some interesting conversations last night. And it's, I just feel like a lot of people are on the same page. I feel like most people are on the same page. We don't really have any leadership right now. A lot of us feel like Trump abandoned us or went a different direction or whatever the case is. But most people just feel like there's no leader for whatever it is we're feeling. Whatever it is that's kind of putting us all on the same lily pad in the pond, let's say. We just don't feel anybody represents us. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene the most, maybe a Tucker Carlson at times, maybe this person then, this person. So I just try to be that voice. I try to be that voice in the media. And I just continue to get affirmation every time I have a social interaction. It's always affirmation every time I have a social interaction in public, which just tells me we're on the right track. Tells me we're doing something right. Tells me we're on the right track. So that's where I'm at. Appreciate the call. We're out of time for today. No bonus interviews tonight. We're done. We're done tonight. So just the show. And we'll take a 21-hour break. And we'll do the same thing tomorrow on the same channels right here, the Owen Report. Thanks for tuning in. God bless and Godspeed.